Or is it
Queen f2 check, king h1, and
nothing
then what?
else? Yeah, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
Oh,
Even king h2, there's no queen takes. Rook takes h3. No, queen guards h4.
Oh, he
misses
blundered.
it.
He blundered.
No, he sees rook f4, but rook takes
Takes
g7.
f4. He missed queen takes f4, knight f6 check, puzzle rush mate.
Oh my gosh, that would have been nasty. I will show it as soon as the game is over. Don't go anywhere.
There was puzzle rush mate there. Wow.
There may still be some sort of puzzle
Queen
rush.
E1. He missed queen e1 there. It's a queen e. Oh, he won.
Who won? Oh my god, he beat on time.
No
It wasn't
way.
even fair. And we are about to have liftoff here as Grandmaster Wei Yi and Grandmaster Praggnanandhaa get set to the throwdown here. The games have begun. Shout out real quick to Lascious IQ, who is Super Grandmaster from Russia, Jan Nepomniachtchi, hanging out with us in the Twitch TV chat. Congratulations to him for winning the first FIDE Grand Prix of the
cycle. Of the
FIDE Grand Prix cycle right there. The match is underway, and again, thank you to everybody who's with us, regardless of where you're choosing to tune in from today. But the match is underway. Okay, we've got an English, right? We've got a focused Wei Yi, a focused Prague here. Your thoughts, Robert?
Yeah, I'm actually very curious how this first game will go because Praggnanandhaa with the black pieces. I mean, anyone playing black against Wei Yi has to be very careful. And Wei Yi's best ever win, I'll never forget it, seared into my mind, his win over Lazar Bruzan. I don't remember the tournament, but that's from 2015.
An immortal game, the moment it was played.
Oh, absolutely. Everyone was, that was the talk of the world. And he is such a fantastic player, and he's especially fantastic in attacking positions. But here we'll have more of a positional grind because with this move, bishop b5 check, knight c6, at any moment, white can play bishop takes c6 and challenge the queenside pawn structure. And d4 means that, okay, after take on d4, you can take back with the knight, as was just played. And now you're going to keep the isolated pawn. So it's a matter of style, excuse me. And at some point still, white can play bishop takes c6, try to put his rook on c1, and then take over the c file.
Well, what I was highlighting as you were talking about that was also the idea of maybe bringing the bishop back to e2 to f3. This is very much like a reversed sort of Caro-Kann, right? Or not a reversed, but a structure very similar to what you would see in a Caro-Kann.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the difference between a Caro-Kann and this one is the missing E pawn and the isolated D pawn for black. But yes, you're absolutely right, Danny. And I would say right now for Prague, it's a moment where he's taking quite a bit of time on this move. There's 28 seconds. And well, bishop e6, interesting decision here to, of course, protect the d5 pawn, but also allow this pin. So queen a4 is the first move that comes to my mind. Queen a4 kind of forces black's hand into playing a queen b6 or queen c7 maneuver, and then white can just castle kings.
Queen d7 may be met by something like knight e5, right? And queen d6, I think even there's still pressure coming because knight d4, it's going to be hard for black to deal with this c6 pressure here. Notice that Wei Yi just gets castled, though. Decides he doesn't want to be all in on the c6 tactic.
Yeah, but that might allow Prague to develop quickly and castle himself, which is very needed when there's facing a pin. And look how he's getting low on the camera over there.
He is getting low on the camera there. I'm watching their connection. One of the factors we always think about in the Speed Chess Championship is that these guys are calling in from China and India respectively, and you wonder if sometimes their connection will be a factor in the match. We see that Wei Yi there, Love Vey is rocking a 3-bar connection. Prague, though, super stable, though. That's something to keep an eye on. I know that's not really chess, but it is one of the elements we always keep track of here in regards to what happens in time scrambles and things. So, all right, bishop
also,
b2.
Speaking of playing in China, isn't it past midnight there right now?
It is. It is past midnight, but it's also past 10 p.m., and given that Prague is the youngster in India, I don't know who has more of a disadvantage there, right? Playing, midnight to 3 a.m. or playing 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. for Prague. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully everybody got their nap in. I know I did.
I got a nap in yesterday, so I'm feeling really refreshed. I'm feeling good for today's show.
You're looking refreshed. You look about 10 years younger without that beard.
I don't recognize myself. I actually turned my head to look at the broadcast. I'm like, who's that dude over Robert Hess? I don't know. Not me.
Well, this is okay. So talking about the structure here, Robert, you highlighted that black has the isolated pawn, which of course is a weakness if white can build up on it and get all the coordination. But right now, I mean, black has active development. You're usually looking for activity on the king side if you can get it. I wonder what Prague is considering here, because one of the tactics you highlighted, or one of the common themes of the position, is if black makes some random move, let's say, sometimes you'll see a capture on c6 and a knight come to a4, followed by a rook to c1. And what happens here is that all the dark squares become completely clamped by white, and black is just positionally worse for the rest of the game. So is there, decision going on here for Prague to think about whether he's going to allow that, because obviously he would get the bishop pair as compensation, or whether he's considering maybe moving the knight from c6 or protecting it to avoid that structure?
Yeah, it's a very difficult decision, honestly. And the real question is, can black play a6 in the initial position? Because if you play a6, you're forcing white's hand to either retreat with bishop d3, which would have been a fine move, or to take on c6. And it's a moot point now because rook c8 was played. And but still, that's a very interesting point of discussion, where is black going to take this b pawn to c6 and then deal with this backward pawn pushing to c5 and moves like knight to e4 later and gain space on the some of the open files, including the e file. So,
well, I'll say to everybody who's with us now, if this type of approach remains for both players today, we're going to be in for a super instructive Speed Chess Championship match here, regardless of who wins, because there's a lot of just positional nuggets and things that you can learn about dynamic structures like this, right, Robert? Where both sides are essentially playing for different things. Black has a weakness, but has activity, and right now, let's just point out an obvious tactic. White cannot take twice on d5, everybody, because if you do, you lose the lady at the end of that line with a very important and well-known theme that you need to know, discovered checks there. So bishop g4, I kind of like that move, even if it doesn't work tactically, Robert, because you're saying I'm going to be aggressive. That's how you really justify an isolated pawn weakness, everyone, is you get activity. Uncle Yermo always said the best IQP, isolated queen pawn, is one with no defense, because it means it's still on the board, and it means you've gotten enough activity that they haven't had time to take it. So that's kind of just like a philosophical thing to implant in your brain, and that's why a move like bishop g4, neglecting defense of the pawn, has been played here. So
I always knew Yermo was very wise, but especially here, that makes a lot of sense. And when you have an isolated pawn, you think about the adjacent files, right? You have an isolated pawn on the D file, which means you have an open C and an open E file. And that's why you make a move like bishop to B8 rather than any bishop C7, because bishop and C7 would close that rook off. And you'll see black play a very standard plan, rook to E8 to take over that semi-open E file. Maybe queen to D6. Right now might be a good time for that to threaten checkmate in one.
I was just highlighting that. You know how I feel about threatening checkmates. I also feel like giving the fans a shout out. Again, reminder to all of you, if you're joining us from Chess.com right now, you might be watching us at just the Chess.com homepage, your Chess.com homepage, and that new little embed we have there. Give us a click through and give our Twitch channel, where the world's biggest events for chess take place, right here on twitch.tv/chess, and give us a follow there so that you know where and when we're broadcasting in the future. Also, shout out to everyone at Chess TV and twitch.tv/chess. I see you, peeps. All right. I'm liking the way Prague's playing this, and when I look at time, that's also a factor that's indicative of how maybe confident the young man feels, right, against the favorite here, Wei Yi. He's not really that far down on the clock. We know
bishop takes g7. Is that a?
Oh, did he miss that tactic?
Well, I guess he's trying to counter with knight. No, but there's a knight on e2 now, so he just missed it. Yeah.
I think he just missed it. Well, unfortunate timing here as we bring up our kind of get-to-know-you card. Rameshbabu Praggnanandhaa is from India. His FIDE rating is 2536. His junior ranking in the world is number 38. But for how young he is, he's 15 years old. That's pretty good. His interests are travel. His strengths are attacking. His weaknesses, and again, this is a self-diagnosis. And one fun fact about him is that Prague is the 4th youngest grandmaster in the history of our game. So, unfortunately, even some of the youngest grandmasters in history make blunders, everyone, right here. This move 94 kind of played instinctively, thinking, all right, I'm on the grind. I want to threaten tactics. Just completely missed this tactic on g7 here. But Wei Yi did not, and that's the tactic that just happened.
Yeah, I saw that coming from a mile away, because anytime I see a bishop on b2 on the long diagonal, I always think, can I get my knight to f5 and just poke at this g7 pawn? So unfortunately for Prague, he just missed it. And now ideas where knight h5 to f6 come to play.
Yeah.
Knight h5 not only protects the bishop on g7, but if I can remove this knight from e4, then I'll get the f6 square from my knight. So
one of the funny things, though, is how all in a black might go if black's just going to take on h3 and kind of laugh in the face of danger. So certainly Wei Yi is going to be calculating whether he can get away with knight h5 or whether he just needs to back this bishop up safely. And okay, he kind of does that.
Yeah,
keeps the knight guarding the pawn.
a more prudent decision. In fact, I completely forgot the h3 pawn was under attack, and this is what happens when you have tunnel vision, right? You go all in for the attack, and you forget, well, actually some of my own pieces are hanging. And so bishop h6 is the smart decision, just to say, I'm up a pawn, your king is very weak, I can now go queen to h5, follow that up with knight to f5, and try to checkmate you in the open side of the board. And d4 is a good opportunity.
Wow, I like that move.
Yeah, you have to play. And look at the time situation, Danny. They're both under a minute right now.
Yeah, they're both under a minute, and there's still a lot of action, and I would call it blunder potential on the board, right? So let's see if we can now get our first glimpse into how these guys are going to handle mutual time pressure with a lot to think about. Rook e5.
Is right. Yeah, he just found a counter shot, stopping knight f5, which would have a mating attack in store. And now the queen has to retreat somewhere. If you go queen g4 check, I trade queens and take on e3. So you actually cannot trade queens here.
Honestly, despite that huge blunder on g7, Prague has held his own, now forcing the queen all the way back to d1. There's no way Wei Yi's happy about that. Just
play quickly. Play rook d8. I understand that black is still down a pawn and worse, but just play quickly, because right now it's gone down to a bullet battle. We have 30 seconds, under 30 seconds for both players. You cannot spend 10 seconds, 15 seconds here. And he's going really low on the clock right now.
Yeah, I don't know what he's thinking about. He's trying to maybe overcalculate the position, which, as you said, Robert, is just probably a mistake based on the fact that you don't have enough time to justify being a scientist here. You got to be a gamer, right? Every moment in chess, are you calculating for perfection, or are you understanding the gamesmanship, the practicalness of the moment, and pushing yourself to be quick?
Right.
So I agree with you. He needs to just play fast.
He's thinking too much. Under 10 seconds. Does he not realize how much time he has?
Whoa, he takes e3. Queen d7 is going to be met by ef2, intermezzo, but he's losing the exchange. The e5 rook. White's going to play king g2 and then take the rook next. No, he takes f2.
Because the rook's hanging on d7.
He's got a tempo. Got it.
But okay, still some counterplay, and in a blitz battle, bishop d4 check. Play f5. Play f5. Protect that knight. Get your king some safety. Oh,
why not just knight takes g3? What was the problem with that? Oh, rook g2. I'm sorry.
Oh,
Okay, wow.
Well, now,
only 2 seconds.
Yeah, rook takes.
He's living on. Bishop takes f4. No. Okay, it was just a fancy way to get to a lost endgame if he did that, and indeed he goes down, unfortunately, in game one. Well, an interesting start here, though, right? By the underdog.
Yep.
He got out, I think, to a position that you can be happy with the black pieces, as you said, going up against a guy like Wei Yi. You quoted the game of maybe this century, right? His win over Bruzon Batista. But okay, I think if you're just shaking off that loss and knowing that it really all fell apart with that single blunder, bishop takes g7. I'll remind people here on the analysis board where this one fell apart. It was just this kind of single move right here for Prague. He was in good shape, but got a little overly aggressive with knight e4 and missed the fork emote right here on f5, and that's why this game fell apart. So, okay. Now back to the live position. I mean, I think that you can still kind of say that you feel good about that game one, Robert, despite losing.
Yeah, I don't feel great about the time mismanagement. I do think that he got a solid position on the opening, but you need to play more quickly. And it's not like Wei Yi was playing that fast either. So they kept about level on the clock. It was just unfortunate for Prague that he blundered this pawn, and so Wei Yi's position just became much easier to play. Now, that said, I'm always thinking long-term here. What's going to happen in the bullet portion, right? That's the last segment where you can really catch up if you're down 3 games and go on a quick winning streak and make your opponent tilt. That's a chance to get back into the match. So I did not love the situation with the time management in that first game. But what I will say, Danny, is sometimes having 5 minutes to start the game makes you feel like you're in this comfort zone. I have plenty of time.
Yep.
So when you get down into time trouble, you don't really think in terms of bullet strategy. I just need to play quickly. So
Are you speaking from experience right now, Robert?
I'm definitely speaking from experience. So, when I get into games with 3 minutes with 2-second increment or something, like I have all the time in the world. And then when I get down to 20 seconds, I'm like, I still have time. And that's not the case. But right now in this particular game, we'll look at this setup by Wei Yi with his G6 move. Of course, that's to make the knight on G3 look a little bit silly, right? A pawn 3 squares away from a knight takes away 2 of the squares from that knight, in this case, f5 and h5. But here, the weak dark squares and an eventual pawn to f4 and a quick blast on the king side could spell Wei Yi's doom.
Okay, well, Wei Yi, we know, is not afraid of dynamic situations. Let's talk a little bit about who Wei Yi is. We already, of course, helped you get to know Prague, but let's remind you that Wei Yi is a little bit of a different cat in regards to who all these juniors aspire to be in the Chess Kid Junior Speed Chess Championship, you can't really strive to be any better than the #1 junior in the world, Robert. Wei Yi is the highest rated player under the age of 21 on the planet. As he said, he loves Puzzle Rush, which was awesome. That was of his own interest. I don't know if he thought we were asking him what his favorite feature is. We were just like, what are you interested in? He's like, Puzzle Rush. We're like, okay. But he loves tactics. He feels like positional chess is his weakness, right? Very kind of self-reflective there for a GM who's touched the over 2750 realm. I don't even know what his he's not over it right now. I can see the rating in front of me. But Wei Yi's the 5th youngest GM of all time. So interesting stuff, right? Getting to know these guys a little bit.
Yeah. And I saw Hikaru Nakamura in the chat, by the way, saying that this was Nippo Wojtaszek. So first, a shout out to Hikaru Nakamura being in the chat. But the difference is in that game, I don't think Nippo committed his pawn to G6. Oh, sorry, not Nippo. Nippo was white. Wojtaszek committed to G6, at least not this early. And so the knight never went to C6 because the knight on C6 actually allowed this knight D5 capture with the tempo. So it is a bit different, but yes, it is important to note how the top players will see how other top players play and often try to replicate that success.
Well, you highlighted that one way White tries to take advantage of this is now with F4. And I think from a positional perspective, kind of interesting to note that if you give Black a few moves, this knight will feel like more of a donkey. If Black can get away with things like F5 and bring a knight from D7 to F6 behind the pawn structure, then you really like the duo of the pawns. But White is going to try to challenge that. Oops, that's not a move that was played. White's going to try to challenge that dynamically. Preventing things like F5. Is he just threatening something like F5? I think here would just be met by a capture, and then Bob's your uncle over here on the G file. So it's an interesting move, though. Queen of 3 feels anti-Soviet chess, Robert. It puts the queen in front of the F pawn instead of your suggestion, I guess, to open up more lines for the pieces. Your thoughts on whether Queen of 3 is a better approach here to the king's side than the move you were first mentioning with F4?
Yeah, I'm actually not certain I really love this strategy by White. And it really stems from knight D5 so early. Because by putting your knight D5, you allow Black to make this capture. And I think in the long term, having the Black potential to play F7 to F5 is just extremely strong. That said, Queen of 3 obviously stops that. And I'm loving White's time advantage right now. You're up a minute on the clock. Look at Black's pieces. You haven't developed anything. So here, for White, you can play, try to play for C4. And then play for B4 and try to expand on the queen side. But I actually have to admit, I'm not a big fan of this early knight D5. I really think that it favors Black, especially in the blitz game, where you're always worried, am I going to allow this move F5 to happen? So if I'm White, I'm considering, hey, is Black going to go bishop F8 and trade those bishops off and then play F5? And that actually worries me as thinking about this from the White's perspective.
No, I'm with you. I that's kind of what I was alluding to, is that the positional game kind of long-term favors Black if you can get this structure. And just because of the control over the center square is just kind of the basic principles of chess that everyone can follow, that if White doesn't have some way to dynamically prevent this, or I guess, as you said, C4, B4, I guess, could come quickly. Oh, wow. That's how you dynamically prevent it. But does it work? Is this just a big smoke and mirrors? He can take F8. And if knight takes, you have knight H6 check. And if king takes, the D6 pawn falls.
But actually, after knight H6 check, I guess he's going to go king to G7 and say, if you take with your queen on F7, you lose your knight on H6. And if you take with your knight on F7, I go queen E7, trapping your knight. So it seems like Prague may have misevaluated this situation where it looks like bishop F8 wins something, at least a pawn, but actually you're going to cost you a piece in the process.
Yeah, he may just have to take on F8 and tuck his tail between his legs and back up, right? But something like that will be immediately met with F5, and then that positional thing we talked about is going to come to fruition with White having lack of access in the center. This seems like something a younger player might do against a more experienced player, like get a little bit excited, right? Play a move like knight F5 thinking, all right, here we go. Something that I might do, right? And then bishop F8, and it was all just a bunch of nonsense, right?
Yeah, this seems a bit artificial. And so I see Prague's internet connections at 1 bar. That's not going to help him at all either. But I didn't like the knight D5 so early, and I'm not liking his internet connection, and thus I'm not liking his time situation. So it seems like he might have disconnected.
Yeah, it looks like he's actually frozen on camera too, unless he's gone mime imitation mode. I don't know. Sometimes people do that, I hear. Yeah, actually, it looks like we've got some connection stability issues here for Prague. Unfortunately, we'll see if he can recover But regardless, I think there's still a lesson on the board. I think that back to your point, all the way back here in this position after knight to d5, Robert, or instead of knight d5, was f4 an option right then, maybe for white?
F4, I think bishop c4 was also a reasonable looking move as well, just to make sure that you can capture the piece in the d5 square. So I just, okay, hindsight's easy to say, oh, I don't like playing e takes d5 and giving black the huge center, but it's really not liking what's happened here. And well, okay, his time situation, he's about to lose on time. I think is he coming back?
Looks like he's back. He's got a stable connection. He's on the screen again, which makes us happy, right? He's got his camera back on. He seems to have reconnected to the Chess.com server, but he's going to be facing a big time disadvantage, unfortunately.
He's also going to be facing e4, f4, b5, f3.
Yep.
I mean, the black's position plays itself. So yeah, here it comes.
Yeah, this is getting rough, but this is a good lesson there. There's a difference in recognizing your opponent having weaknesses, and the getting overexcited to take advantage of them, right, Robert? I mean, black clearly had some potentially tactical landmines there, but Prague got a little bit too excited with this knight f5 move, regardless of the connection issues, and now we see that big pawn center for black coming to life. You just have to like black's position.
Absolutely, and I was actually watching the game earlier between Valentina Gunina and Katerina Lochno from the women's candidate tournament, and it was a pawn structure very similar where white had a pawn on d5, but black had the 4-on-3 on the king side. And I don't know if they're still playing, but it was all black in that game, Lochno. And right now it's very easy to play this position for Wei Yi. You can go h5 to kick the knight back to h2, and then I kind of just trapped there for the foreseeable future. You can also play queen to g5. Okay, queen to h4.
Also good.
But no, that's a good. I was thinking g3 here, just to break open the pawn storm.
Go for it.
Yeah, take it. Ooh.
Well, I think the biggest issue with g3 is black was probably going to take h3, and even something like knight f6 is eventually met by f3 for black.
That's not ideal, that's for sure. But you might be right. It's just a bit of a problem over there.
I don't know that you were wrong that it was the right practical point of view, regardless. But I think that he's got his work cut out for him here.
I was also thinking what I would do with having 5 seconds on my clock, because just moving, and g3 at least allowed me to make a couple quick moves. Or so I thought. Here, rook e3 comes, and okay, white's just toast.
Rook e3, queen to d1. Black can even follow with f3. Looks like, yeah. He does so.
Bishop takes pawn on h3, and then knight h3, queen g3 check. Throw the check in, take on h3 check.
Very nice little instructive game of tickle there for everyone to take note of. If you can take a piece with tempo, always do it.
And now queen g3, queen h4 wins the bishop on c4, so that's going to be...
Very nice little spot there. That's a little puzzle rush right there, Robert.
Yeah.
Way to go. Way to eat your Wheaties this morning.
On my charity stream the other day, I did a lot of puzzle rush, and so I'm feeling ready.
Very nice little spot. Keep an eye on all the hanging pieces. That's how you find tactics like that, and there you go. All right, well, we have 2 games in the books. Not a huge surprise in terms of how people kind of looked at this match, a 2-game lead for the overall 1 seed. But that second game was a little bit more of a kind of a blow, I think, to Prague than the first one was, right? So just having really misplayed a better position, regardless of what happened with his connection, and now he needs to recover here. He's played better with the black pieces so far.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think a lot of people chalked it up to, he got disconnected. He lost 2 minutes or however much time it was. But I agree with you that he actually was, I think, going to lose on the board no matter if he got disconnected or not. And that's not an insult to his chess skill. I just think that the position got away from him and was clearly in Wei Yi's favor by that point. And right now we see Prague with a double fianchetto setup with the black pieces here. And right now, look at this situation for white with his knight on f3. Wouldn't you rather your pawn be on f4 and your knight behind it on f3 to get a little bit of an advanced structure that gives you more play? Because if I'm black, I'm saying, can I just go e5 right now? Right now. Or should I leave the pawn e7 so my bishop on g7 is still strong? But I don't want white to play d4. So I I don't know. I'm not.
No, you're totally right. What you're highlighting is this is actually a Botvinnik English structure for those of you who speak closed opening repertoires. The knight normally belongs on e2, though, in those positions precisely because of what Robert's talking about. It allows f4 to come in. It's a more flexible structure for white, also because the knight on e2 guards the other knight on c3, which sometimes can help back up a knight d5 plan. So, okay, Wei Yi's going to try to fix this mistake of the knight being in front of the f-pawn. But I think there's still a ton of flexibility here. He plays f4. He might even consider just bringing the knight back to f3, being very patient in the position.
I would
and the
consider
question is
a4 as well, just try to close down the queen side.
a4. Yeah, I think so. The question in a lot of these positions, Robert, is how much do you take your time being prophylactic in your approach, right? Preventing your opponent's breakthroughs versus calculating that, you know what, I can allow things and just go all in for the race, g4, f5, g5, and I try to prove that I'm going to be the one who wins in an all-out kind of race attack. I would always sort of advise my students to be a little bit more prophylactic in nature in positions where your opponent has a very solid kingside, meaning they have a fianchetto structure. You're not just going to sack, mate, right? This isn't a Yugoslav attack. So be patient, stop your opponent's counterplay, and build up the attack slowly. You dig in that kind of advice for our viewers here?
Yeah, two things, though. Prophylaxis is a very hard word to spell, and I'm not one of the 8 scripts spelling the champions. And second of all, you make a great point about said prophylaxis because f5 is now on the board. And what f5 does, it gives black the e5 square for the rest of the game. And that's something that really worries you as, let's say, a former closed or a reformed closed Sicilian player like myself, is I know that anytime I push this f pawn to f5, look at that e5 square. A knight can hop in there.
Right.
The bishop on g7 looks beautiful with all the dark squares covered. And so where's white's attack? The knight on h4 is misplaced, but it was needed to go to h4 because it was on f3 in the first place. And this idea with g5, what's it going? Go play b4. I might even just go take your pawn on b2. I don't see how your attack is going to checkmate me, which means that I can go snag some queenside pawns and just play for an advantage in that way.
Those are big words coming from, as you said, a reformed close Sicilian player who at one point played a lot of these attacks as white. But the question will be,
attack is a very generous way to put that, isn't it?
Well, the question will be whether Wei Yi can prove us wrong with some sort of mating attack, making these pawns into something. But the other question for all of you, regardless of what Wei Yi's facing, is our daily question. And let's go ahead and remind everybody that they can get involved on social media whenever they're watching any of our events here on Chess.com. But today's is, what is the greatest tournament performance of all time by a junior? So, Robert, this is when I'm really going to challenge your chess knowledge, because juniors get invites to things like the Tata Steel B groups, right? Or they get invites to often their local wild cards and otherwise super GM elite events, right? And I think that throughout history, sometimes you get your first glimpse into the stars of tomorrow by how they do in events like that, right? People remember when guys like Magnus Carlsen, Hikaru Nakamura made their first kind of big, like, whoa, a 13-year-old or 14-year-old just won this event. So I'm going to ask everybody to get involved. Use the hashtag SpeedChess. We'll see what Robert comes up with as he thinks about this throughout the day, and let us know your answer to the daily question. And by the way, Prague did just go pawn grabbing. He has played better as black. I get the feeling we might see that he's not going to go away quietly here. This looks like a game that black should get right now. I'm with you. I don't buy white's attack. I think Wei Yi went a little bit on tilt with this knight h4 all in on the f and g pawns. Okay,
I would never have played him with king g7. So I was about to compliment Prague for his play, and then I saw this king on g7, which is just a frightening move for me to see, because that means f6 will be a check at any moment. D4 will become an option if you want to try to blast open that diagonal with the check. I don't really see the benefit of having the king on g7. Well, I guess you're stopping a sacrifice on the g6 square. So maybe I should hold back for a second. But I would put my knight on e5 or brought my knight from e8 to g7 before I ever played a move like king g7. Maybe it's a good move. I could be totally off here. But something feels so wrong about having a king on g7 because more vulnerable to an attack. Queen g4, queen h4, queen h6 now is a check. That's added in the picture here. H4, h5. That's another idea that you can play because you just moved your knight back. So I'm not a big fan of king g7. I think it just puts you in
danger.
More danger than it's worth.
And you know what? Again, to highlight it, and we're going to be talking about themes, of course, throughout the Junior Speed Chess Championship, because these are kids presented by Chess Kid. They make sometimes reactionary moves, right, Robert? If we back up and look at why did he play king g7 on bishop e4, white immediately kind of sort of bluffed at the idea that I'm going to take and go to Sacktown on G6, and Prague quickly responds with an instinctive response to say, no, thank you, right? But the problem is, the big picture is that king is actually more vulnerable, as Robert's saying, on the diagonal, and I actually really liked Wei Yi's move knight G2 because it actually opened this path for the queen that Robert highlighted to H6. So, again, I think that a good lesson is always, be careful how you react to your opponent's threats. Don't see ghosts, right? There's sometimes you stand at the top of a stairwell, and it's really dark, and you should be careful going into the basement. That doesn't mean there's ghosts there, right? It's just like recognize what the situation is, but don't overreact and put yourself in a weird situation. And in chess, Jeremy Silman talks a lot about that. Not seeing ghosts, calculating and making sound decisions rather than just kind of reacting to your opponent's threats.
I don't know. For those of us who like horror and things of that genre,
you would like to see a ghost.
Yeah, The Haunting of Hill House, great show and a great book, I might add, that came out recently. So, I don't mind a ghost every now and then, but I agree with you, Danny, completely. That if you look outside at how much time he spent on King G7, I believe it was 2 seconds.
Yeah, just total reactionary move.
Yeah, and maybe that's in part because he feels himself getting in trouble in situations when he doesn't have much time left. So I'll save the time now and use it later in the more complicated situation. But look at the position. White's attack has been playing itself. Queen G4 here. I play Queen G4. I can swing my queen over to H4 or H3, depending on the situation. Queen G4 also threatens F6 check, winning the knight on D7. Now that it's hanging. So, look at this bishop on E4. It's protecting G2 from any sort of attack there and aiming at the G6 square anyway. So, yeah.
He goes for it. He agrees with you. I think we're going to see knight E5 as, again, a reactionary move. But you're right. We're now in a position, if we're black, where we've really given White the potential for tempo moves around our king side with this move, King G7. And tempo moves that come with check, powerful threats, are dangerous and sometimes easier for blunders to happen, especially under time pressure. What's really easy to do, though? If you're watching this at Chess.com or your homepage, Chess.com, click the player you're watching it on, head over to twitch.tv/chess and give us a follow so that you can be alerted in the future when the biggest events in chess go live. And if you're just tuning in, about 4,000 of you with us, thank you for watching the Junior Speed Chess Championship presented by Chess Kid. So, all right, Robert, how do you deal with Queen G4, the threat of F6 check and the knight hanging on D7?
Knight E5, as you mentioned, is definitely the best move.
Okay.
But after knight
Let's
E5,
analyze this.
Knight E5, say Queen H3 or Queen H4. I don't know which square is better, but okay.
I like your H3. Just feels a little more like I'm guarding G2, even if I don't need to.
Yeah, I agree. And now H-G6 and then Queen H6 check is a deadly threat.
Yep.
Right? Just piling up pressure on the G6 pawn. So that means you might play Rook H8 to meet H-G6 with H-G6 with tempo. But after Rook H8, I would even consider H6 check.
Yeah, I was just about to move it. And Robert highlights that this is a common theme that happens sometimes. Oh, here, we're going to see something like this.
Oh, boy.
He plays F6. Wow. So Wei Yi thinks he has more than just trapping the rook. But given that Prague is already about to be under 30 seconds and the attack is raging, I'm liking Wei Yi again, despite Prague starting out on a good foot here with the black pieces.
It's so funny, Danny, how F6 check was obviously an option, but I was so used to position we play H6 and lock the rook in there that F6 didn't even come to mind. But when he played it, I was like, oh, that was obviously a good move. But actually, the reason I don't love it so much is now it's black something to counter at. Right, this pawn on F6, it looks very menacing. It's taking away the G7 square. I'd love to hop my queen to H6 right now, but I can't jump over my pawn. And if I go H6, G6, then after H6 back, the rook on H8 is beautifully placed. So if you ever take on E7, then I'll swing my queen to E8, gobble up that queen E8 right now, and gobble that pawn up. Actually, somehow this ended up...
Yes, somehow F6 became almost Wei Yi's reactionary move, assuming that must be the better way to put the king on his heels and block the rook. But I think you're right, Robert. I think F6 was not the most accurate way to continue the attack.
So take on E7, Queen C8 check is the idea for White, then play knight to E8 and hope that you're not getting mated. It sounds ridiculous. Hope that you're not getting mated, but you have to play quickly. You don't have time, and every other...
Hey, I hope not to get mated all the time, Robert. I don't think it sounds silly.
Yeah, okay, you can't... He's 10 seconds left. And so Queen C8, if Queen C8, knight E8, rook takes D6, is that what's going to happen?
Oh, man, that could get real nasty. Queen C8, knight D8, rook takes D6. Can't take because takes, or can you because you block on F8? I don't know. We're going to find out.
But then you could take on F8 and then take on C5, and how does that transition?
Oh, yeah. That's an exchange where White gets a ton of pawns. He's going to go for it. He's spying that D6 pawn.
Yeah, and you're kind of sort of forcing White's hand away, because once his knight e5 moves, then rook on f6 really is under attack. So you have to look out for discoveries like knight takes c4 potentially. Actually, knight takes c4 looks really good because the bishop on e4 will also be hanging if you go d takes c4. But right now you can't play knight c4 because rook f7. So play queen f8. Queen f8 actually stops the pin.
Oh, he's giving him the f7.
Yeah, it's a blunder with no time on the clock.
Yeah, I was going to say, he was living off the increment, didn't have a choice. The d7 knight falls with it. Prague shakes his head.
Yeah.
And we feel your pain, Proggers, in regards to making blunders. When I say we, it means like the royal we, like as in me.
Proggers, that's awesome.
The queen's guarding h3, in case you didn't get the memo. Prague gets it, right?
Yep.
And... all right, well, that, again, if you're just joining us, everyone, obviously you see what's on the scoreboard. The 1 seed overall in the Junior Speed Chess Championship, doing what he came to do, which is kind of win this match. He's up 3-0. But a couple of these games, especially the 2 as black, have been really good starts for the young star from India. And he just has kind of lost his way in the critical moments a couple times. And it's led to some instructive stuff, though. I think that we're seeing some mistakes that people can relate to. Very quick reactionary moves, right, Robert? You know, not necessarily calculating the big picture when you put your pieces on dangerous squares, and Prague did that with the king coming to g7 in the last game and paid the price. Hey,
Danny, I have a psychological question for you here.
Yep.
If you're White, you're Prague, you're down 3-0, do you just try to be safe and just get some kind of half a point, or do you just do your normal thing and say, if I lose again, that's just chess, and maybe it's not my start, but I can't just resort to making draws because I'm down in the match score?
So I go back to whatever advice I was given, and I think that I kind of subscribe to the theory that as much as you don't want to, and as much as I maybe haven't always led with example on this, is I think at this point you have to stop the bleeding just to get yourself on the board psychologically, because if you tell yourself, no, I might as well keep going all in now. That's usually how like real landslides and tilts happen, right? And I think for me, it was very difficult as a kind of an emotional, passionate player. When things were going well for me, they were going really well. When they weren't going well, I would kind of start sliding. And I think that one of the last skills I really learned when I was a good chess player, Robert, and you can say if you agree, was to kind of like not let my passion lead the way, be disciplined, understand like there's nothing wrong with a draw. You have to remind yourself how to just play unbiased, solid chess and get yourself on the board. But what advice would you give if you were coaching Prague to say, you know what, forget it and go for it? Or would you say, hey man, get yourself on the board, take a breath?
Well, you said landslide, and I got distracted because that's a beautiful song by Fleetwood Mac. But on a serious note,
the landslide brought me down. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, sing it for me, Danny. I'm ready for it.
Hey, Stevie Nicks is right here. I keep Stevie Nicks right here next to you in my heart, next
Stevie
to the
Nicks
logo.
Is so awesome. But okay, as for this particular landslide, I agree that I was always told that you can't castle queenside. And that's what he's done, right? 0-0-0, 3 losses. And I've always told, like, you need to just get a half a point, get that feeling of not losing, and that can rejuvenate you and revive your chances. That said, if I'm in a speed chess championship match where there's a finite amount of time and I know that I'm kind of against the clock, my connection hasn't been so stable, I feel like you just kind of play at this point. And you have the white pieces. And so, there's I like his setup. He played in exchange Caro-Kann, which means that it's generally speaking a very solid position. Look at the situation. There are no pawn breaks for black to speak of right now. White is very solid. The bishop on g3 is excellently placed. If you play me like bishop h5, I go knight f4, take the 2 bishops. And why is that important? Well, generally speaking, in a position like this, it kind of lowers your losing chances. And it's not saying he's playing to draw, but he's playing for 2 results, trying to play a safe approach. That means that there's no tactical fireworks, because honestly speaking, he's been on the worst side of the tactics thus far. Right. F5.
And I think that even this will be a position, not necessarily where I would call it a 2-result position right away. We see Wei Yi's connection just died there, but now he's back. But I would say that even if you take here and then try to route a couple of knights into e5, knight d2 to f3, knight f4 to d3, I start spying these outpost squares on e5 and c5, and Prague goes for I like knight f4 also does the same thing I was saying. Instead of just leading with this knight, you lead with the other knight coming to d3. And this is also a strong idea. Positionally, I feel like Prague is kind of flexing a little bit here in terms of white structure. You're threatening to take f6, which of course means you're threatening the d5 pawn, everyone. And if black just kind of over defends this weak pawn, that gives white a bit of a free hand to develop the knight to the f3 square, maybe grab the e file. So positionally, I'm liking white. And again, for all 4,000 of you with us, if you're just joining us, this doesn't feel like a match that is going to see any of the A word, right? The adoption, right? I feel like Pragg is going to get a game here. He's been close in several of the matchups we've already seen here, everyone, and I'm liking white again.
It's a very instructional moment, and he just played rook to d8. But what I was going to say is that which minor pieces do you want to trade? Do you want to trade bishop for bishop, in which case he would have went knight e4, but clearly Pragg wanted to trade the bishop for a knight. And I know for many less experienced players, I hear, wait a second, but isn't two bishops advantage? Firstly, there are not two bishops here. And so this bishop on f6, what's it going to target? Look at this beautiful pawn chain for white, b2, c3, d4. That restricts the bishop on f6. The knight on b1 can quickly hop into d2, and as you were mentioning, f3. And what's black going to do about it? Well, I can put my knight on c4, but if I ever trade the remaining black knight, white will try to put pressure on the d5 pawn because black doesn't have a light square bishop to help defend it. Now, on one hand, having a light square bishop means it's restricted by your own pawns, but on the other, it safeguards some squares. And in an endgame, if you can envision this position without the knights, the d2, c4 knights, and without the major pieces, then we say, okay, I have a dark square bishop, but white has a knight that can hop from color to color, and that's the advantage of a knight over a bishop, is that it can occupy both diagonals, both colors, right? And the dark square bishop can only be on the dark squares.
No, and it sounds basic, but it's really critical in terms of how you're evaluating the future of these positions. Wei Yi obviously trying to win the staring contest, hoping that white will settle on a move like takes here, which of course would be bad because it fixes black's isolated pawn. White's probably still better here with a protected pass d pawn and a good knight, but I think that Pragg is going to try to play for more than just trading on c4. But no, you're absolutely right, Robert. This is a really good positional lesson. We'll see if Pragg can convert on it. This is our third match of the year. Let's remind everybody of the schedule while we have a small break in the action before we see how Pragg tries to convert this. We've already seen two in the books there. The next matchup will be on June 3rd between American star Sam Sevian and another rising star from India, Nihal Sarin. And mark your calendars there. Get your iPhone out. Cancel that dentist appointment on June 14th. The cavity's not hurting you yet anyway, right? You don't have to get dental work until the cavity hurts. This is just known, okay? So cancel your dentist appointment on June 14th and join us. And then mark your calendar for the long schedule, which is the quarterfinals and semifinals, where those dates also potentially subject to change based on who we end up having there. But most likely those will be the dates. So mark them down and join us. Rook e4. I actually really like this move, though. This is Wei Yi starting to get the dynamic counterplay to maybe make up for his positional weaknesses here, Robert.
Well, I really don't like the move b3, and actually I was going to mention it before, but I thought, well, I didn't want to mention it before when I mentioned b3. And so b3, I don't know about knight a3. He's going to b5 anyway, but I would have put my knight on d6, and I said, look at your pawn on c3. That's a new target that I can just try to pile up pressure on. And what I mean by that is rook c8, knight b5, queen c6, some kind of configuration like that. And, well, the c3 pawn is a new target, and you're not getting c4 in, which would, one, make your d4 pawn vulnerable, and two, I just have that square covered pretty well. So a4, good move, and now knight d6. And I don't think that the inclusion of a4 and queen b2 has actually helped black. I thought knight d6 immediately, leaving the queen on c2, where it was on the c file, which means that a rook c8 would have pinned the c3 pawn. I think that was a little bit more precise, but I still think that the last several moves have helped black's chances, not white's.
I agree 100%. And even though we were sort of highlighting the positional advantages of the... Whoa. You saw a lot of moves jump ahead there. Oh, no. I somehow I jumped to the other board. That's because my mouse is... Sorry, right now I'm fixing my mouse, everybody. Batteries are out, so give us a second. The live position, not on the board right now, so hold on. This is fun. It is now, yeah. All right, so let's keep talking. Whoa, rook h4, g3.
Mousy,
what?
Don't be so mousy over there. And
don't be so mousy, yeah.
Ooh, I like g3, but I'm also worried about g3 because rook takes h3. The point of clearly is knight to f4, forking rook on h3 and pawn on d5. But after black retreats, say with rook to h6, and white takes, knight takes d5, can black just go g5, follow up with f4, and just crash? Okay, did not go for that. I really like that idea instead. I don't like this so much because now white's going to play h4. And if white plays h4 and then knight e5 and just plays naturally, I feel like black's gonna have a harder time with this rook sort of entombed over there on h6. But neither side's committing. I think both sides are a little bit reluctant to do anything too drastic here, and I think that the status quo favors black.
Wow! Now there's tactics.
G4 here.
F4. I was going to say F4 played to
attack
knight F4
H3.
would have been met by G5. Everybody.
Is he going to go knight F5 and go full sack town?
No, he goes rook H4, but now the knight can come to F3. Oh no, but then you'll see rook takes G4 check.
Right.
Watch out, knight F3, rook takes G4 check, and now black is.
Wait, knight F3, rook G4. Can I just go king H2 because your rook's trapped there?
Oh wow, that would have been a nice tactic here. Robert Hess, knight F3, rook G4, king H2, and the rook is falling, likely for just a pawn.
Yeah, you can move your rook to H4, G5, and then I'll take it for a knight, but I don't at least give up the second pawn, and my king feels more safe.
The truth is, even this approach feels pretty strong for Prague. And again, with black being all in on a move like rook H4, hoping for essentially now a sacrifice of a whole rook for a perpetual check or something.
So king F1, is he going to go?
F3 is going to happen.
Play knight F5. Keep it going. Your opponent has 19 seconds left.
Yeah, I think if you're Wei Yi, you just keep the attack going. Knight F5, try to mate him and make him find the defense with less than 20 seconds.
Yeah, because F3 fails to knight takes F3, and then the D6 knight is hanging. So that would be a problem. And here, if white goes F3...
You can't play F3 if you're white because it opens up E3 and G3 squares.
Yep. So I think you have to play F3. You can't allow black to do that.
Okay, he does it, but here comes queen G3, I think.
So many options. One is queen H3 is a check, but the king might run E2 to D3, so you have to be careful about that. Queen...
This position is getting my blood pumping. I'm feeling an OMGs or snaps coming on, but Wei Yi feels like this is boring. I mean, look at he's like whatever. I'm down a rook. I'm attacking. LOL. Right?
Yeah, I don't even know what to say here because isn't the king running to D3 into C2 so quickly?
I think he's going to lose this one, but again, queen F5 check comes in. The king's running to D4.
King on D4. It's safe.
Completely safe. There's no follow-up for black. Okay, he's threatening queen C5 check.
Okay, so if you play knight F1, queen C5, you king D3. I was like,
the king runs out.
Oh, white's winning this.
I think he just did it. I think Prague just defended the attack, and he's going to get his first victory.
And he won in King of the Hill too.
And he won at King of the Hill, right?
Yeah, that should be a prize in the juniors, like a special prize.
Yeah, like an extra little variance prize. We know that Fun Master Mike loves King of the Hill.
Yep. Okay, it's 3 seconds, 2 seconds.
Okay, it should be a. Okay, you have to block with. No, king c1. I thought you had to play rook d3, but this also works for white.
I think rook d3 was better because queen takes e5 is better, but rook takes e3. Yeah. Take on e3.
He had rook takes e3. He's living off the increment, but he could be blundering. Yeah. Oh my gosh!
0.4.
He played queen e2 with 0.4 seconds and then 1.3. Somebody's going to lose on time, and I don't know who. Oh my jeez or snap. That was like...
They missed rook takes e3 like 5 different times. That was making me so nervous.
And let's highlight what the tactic was there. Actually, we'll never mind. We won't. We'll just go on to the next game because I don't know what else to say. But in those moments, Robert, the blood pressure gets extra high. At some point, we're going to be putting a heart monitor on me. That's not a joke. It has been a request, and we're going to see. I don't know how to control my emotions any better. I take meds. I go to therapy. I'm a human being. Okay, but Robert, that had me on the edge of my seat.
That hurt. Like I felt my heart just beating so quickly there, and I'm shaking right now a little bit.
Yeah.
That was
honestly, part of it is also because we don't know how good either of these connections are. And again, everyone hates when that's a factor, but the truth is when you're playing in a global match like this, there's the advantages of it, right? We get to have the best players in the world come together and be front and seat in our living room here. Some of you probably watching this in your living room. But, sometimes, players have, better connections than others. These players joined us from hotels when they're on the road between other big events. And so it gets you nervous because you just don't know how they're going to handle the time scramble. And there you go. Here's me explaining my emotions, which I was told not to do, but.
You see, FIDE Trainer Net goes, Danny needs 10 times that prescription.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, we're back to the opening we saw in Game 1 for those of you who may just be joining us. If you happen to be watching at Chess.com, go ahead and click the player, come over to Twitch, and hit the follow button so that you are now alerted the next time we go live. This was a structure we had in Game 1 that ultimately led to a decent position for Prague, though he eventually lost.
It's interesting to note, Danny, that Wei Yi refuses to give himself the isolated pawn because he could have taken e takes d4, which I would have preferred, but instead he plays. Well, he has an isolated pawn anyway, so an IQP. So he could give himself an IQP, and I think there's some weird opening tricks that instead of taking on c6, queen g5 was an option. I feel like I've seen that before, but maybe it's not this position. After white took knight takes c6.
Yeah, queen g5 is a.
I think there's some
intermezzo where you hit g2, you also hit the undefended b5 bishop, and the knight is kind of pinned actually.
Yeah.
So that's actually a really instructive tactic by Robert to remember, and the fact that Prague didn't find that, but also is down on time. I don't know. It tells me maybe he knows this position a little bit less than Wei Yi, but that doesn't mean I'm really impressed with White's position.
Yeah, I'm not impressed at all, honestly. I think that it's slightly better for White because of the development lead, but Black is just 2 moves from castling, and Queen G4 is one of those annoying moves because you can't move the bishop without losing G7. But after Queen G4, I would play, I think, Queen F5, continue to offer queen trade, saying, yes, I'm giving myself some double pawns, but in a queenless position, my chances of holding really skyrocket. So I think right now Wei Yi's trying to figure out where does my queen belong, and there's really no great square for it because Black will always have a queen move to challenge the white queen.
Yep. Let's highlight that accidental instructive nugget from Robert there, talking about why the like now queen d5 or queen f5. Why the I'll go with queen f5 to really show what you were talking about. Robert said without the queens on the board, it makes Black's chances of holding despite these weaknesses much better. And part of the reason for that is that, one, there's no open files, so that doesn't make it easy for White. These aren't weaknesses that are easily accessible. That's the point. And so without the queen to kind of menace the structure, Black's position is really perfectly fine. And it really levels the playing field when you have weaknesses that your opponent can't attack. So yes, they're unbiasedly bad peshki, but they're also not easy to attack. And so just wanted to highlight that moment. And we see a lot of queen moves, some sort of breaking principles here, but I like where this is going for Prague. Now his queen has kind of won the game of shuffle puck here, right? And now Wei Yi's trying to get a queen off the board. Now, another instructive moment, right? Robert would say before it would be fine for Black if the queens came off. Here you wouldn't really want to trade and open White's A file, and that's why I highlighted that. You know, it would be okay for Black the other way, but this would be an example of not wanting to make a trade and give your opponent easy access to things like rook a6. The rooks would double on the A file. So sometimes your assessment based on what you do has to be on, am I making moves that give my opponent more options for their pieces or less options for their pieces? And that's a good criteria whenever you're assessing a possible trade, right, Robert?
And I do not like that move because I was just thinking about what you were saying and how Capablanca would be so fascinated by this position. Thinking about all the intricacies and nuances of every single queen move and every single queen trade. And I thought Queen A6, exactly why I didn't like queen e5 was C4. Because now after queen B3, A takes B3, the A7 pawn is weak, which you were highlighting with doubling rooks in the A file.
Oh, and he's going to do it. I agree. He shouldn't have. Yeah, queen a6 was definitely better. So on the note we were talking about, Robert was saying, put the queen all the way back here and just get rid of the tickle game and then go back to your idea of developing. This structure is going to lead to a 2-result position for White for the rest of the game. Only White can be happy with access to targeting these weaknesses with the rook.
And maybe Black is okay if you play, I don't want to play a6, but if I can play a6 and somehow run my king to b7, then perhaps my pawns in the light squares are well defended. But there's always going to be issues of a rook swinging to the d file as well. And bishop b2 is annoying, but it'll be met by f6. So perhaps just a symbolic advantage for White. I think it's more than that. But something what I mean by symbolic advantage is an aesthetic one more than anything.
Right.
Black has these isolated pawns on the queen side, so they can't protect each other. White's c4 pawn is protected from b3, and b3 can be attacked, but then you lose a7, which is the more valuable pawn. And so I'm looking at this endgame, and I totally agree with you, Danny, that it's a 2-result endgame for White, and there's a6. That's either a risky move because it puts the pawn on a light square which the bishop cannot protect it. But like I said, I think that king can run over king d7, king c7, king b7 at the right moment and defend that pawn as necessary.
Yeah, but even if you do that, right, you're kind of groveling for a draw. You're hoping that White doesn't, get the better of those 2 results you mentioned. Likely only White can win, especially when you're up almost a minute and a half on the clock. So, I think there's been a lot of instructive moments here in regards to things that are misplayed by our players, and that's good, right? It lets us all see little opportunities for improvement. Bishop b2 played, I guess, to hit g7, stop development there. Black can play f6.
Auto response. Ooh. Okay, so actually I don't like how this happened, because now after rook fd1 check.
Yeah, and then bishop e5, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so and you can't run safely without allowing the rook into the 7th rank.
Oh, you know what would have been a better strategy? Now that I see this on the board, it's helping me realize the better strategy for black was playing f6, king f7, and bishop e7, and giving up your a6 pawn, because you would have rook b8 at the end, hitting the b3.
Yeah, and you would go to b8 or d8 even. Both those things might be counterplay worthy of the a pawn.
Exactly, and I think that it is a great learning moment for Prague, for myself, and for everybody, is that sometimes the TV material equality is a bad decision. What do I mean by that?
Right.
That the activity you gain from getting your rook onto an open file or to attacking a pawn is worth a pawn deficit, and it actually helps increase your drawing chances rather than a passive position like this. Look at the position. What can black do here? f6, bishop e7. I get that. White, I would have played bishop c3 to a5. And maybe that's still an option, but I would have started with bishop c3 to a5 to not even allow black to trade one pair of rooks, because black doesn't have space. And when you don't have space, you want to trade some pieces. So if I'm black here, first after bishop c3, I might play a5 myself, taking away that square and maybe allowing myself to play pawn to a4 at the right moment to break open my rook on a8. But I can also put a rook on d8, and actually rook d8 right now looks good for black. You have not as much space, so you want to trade some pieces. And after rook d8, if we trade on d8 and try to play rook to d6, thinking that you're winning a pawn, well, you, in fact, do win a pawn, but I have the move bishop c7, I believe. And if your rook takes e6, I trap your rook on e6 with king to d7.
Oh, dirty dog.
I've been eating my Puzzle Rush Wheaties. You're right.
Yeah, you have. Well, and I highlighted as you were talking, Robert, that long line about giving up the a6 pawn and getting counterplay on the b file, which reminds me of a famous game, actually, where I forget who it was. I'm actually going to try to look it up. But a very similar idea, and you highlighted the need to not over-evaluate material versus activity, right? Dvoretsky was always big on that, right? The active pieces in the endgame are worth so much more because there's less pieces. So I think that you're right that black did miss the best defense, but perhaps it's enough to hold anyway. I look at time pressure as the biggest weakness right now for black, even though previously it was the pawns. Probably now it's the clock.
Absolutely. The clock situation has not been favoring Praggnanandhaa, except for game 4, where he won on time, but he also was up a rook for some pawns. And here, if I'm Wei Yi, I take a moment. He's doing that. He's up 50 seconds. And I actually was going to recommend a pawn to e5. And the reason I was going to say that for white is it's just such a confusing move that it either forces black to play f5, which makes some of the dark squares weaker, or if you ever take on e5,
yeah, I'll look at that. Yeah, so you're saying e5. And if you take, you got these horrible weaknesses, and if f5, then maybe even things like rook g3 are even stronger. Trying to induce weaknesses. Look, everybody, g6, you play tickle again. h5, you go back to g3 tickle, and eventually white's probably winning a pawn over here. So interesting to see how you might poke and prod to create targets there. But he didn't go for it, and now Prague is getting a4. He's going to eliminate one of the weaknesses he's had for a long time, which is the a file.
Yeah, actually, this is now looking better for black to me, because if you look at white's pawns, they're more advanced, and that sounds like it's a good thing in an endgame, but it actually makes them easier to attack as well. So how do you get to c6? You can't really get there. I can get to c4 via a4 as he just played, but we might just see a little repetition here: rook a1, rook a4, and
a draw. Yeah. Well, this has got to be a huge success here for Prague. He won the last game. If you're just joining us, now more than 6,000 of you with us. So if he draws this one, he's kind of on the right track. If you happen to be watching this at the Chess.com homepage or your homepage at Chess.com, click the player and join us over on Twitch, because we still have a long match ahead of us. As you can see there's 2 more time controls coming up after the 5-minute portion, 3-minute and 1-minute chess. So go ahead and join us over on Twitch. Click the follow button above the player, so that you can get alerts whenever we go live in the future with the biggest events in chess here. And I think Prague has got to be feeling really good about it, assuming he holds this one right here, right? I mean, he's only got 8 seconds. We're not out of the realm of blunder territory. But
he might win this, because look at the bishop on d4. That's going to be cemented in there via c5 and then e5. c5 right now, immediately.
c5, e5. Yeah, Wei Yi has really let this one go.
Rook b6, don't trade. Don't
Rook
trade
E6,
rooks.
definitely don't trade. This is principle of two weaknesses. You need pieces on the board in order to have targets.
And watch out for black to put bishop b2. Bishop b2 right now.
Bishop B2. Oh, he missed it. Bishop B2 would have forced probably a winning rook ending.
Yeah, so because you always started rook to a7 check, winning that bishop.
Yeah,
so,
and notice Wei Yi doesn't let him do it again. If these bishops come off and that rook ends up on the second rank, you're going to see Prague get his second victory in a row.
so play f4, I guess. He doesn't have to do anything really because he can just push pawns.
I think right now he's looking at the
rook
time
f8.
and nervous.
And play rook. Is he going to play bishop b2 or rook f8?
Rook f8, the rook's coming into the f1 square, and that king on a4 got himself in big trouble, Robert.
Oh, rook e1. Play rook e1, you win the pawn.
Rook e1, you just win the pawn.
And king d3, rook e3 check. So
you win the bishop.
Oh, this is
Get
nice.
your skewer emotes out, everybody. Get your skewer emotes out.
This is really nice for Prague. Well, he loses 1.8 seconds.
Oh, and he almost won on time there.
Whoa, what just happened?
I don't know what just happened. Wei Yi is about to lose on time.
What is happening here?
I don't know who's going to lose on time, but I feel like somebody is. All right, the king finally gets a little bit of tickle. G3, but E4 check is coming, and black is still in control.
Wait, but how's the rook getting out? The rook's kind of trapped over there. King f3? Oh, h5.
King f3, rook. He still has rook f5.
Oh, okay. So rook f5.
But he blundered his pawn back.
Wait, it's king e...
G5, king g4.
Oh, nice.
He just missed that.
Rook d5.
Oh, and Prague
d5.
sits... He sit back there because he knew he messed this up.
Yep, he definitely did. And it's still going to be a draw, it looks like.
Whoa, unless Wei Yi gets a little too aggressive.
Man, that was a lot happening there.
It's not over yet. I mean, with time scramble situations, I feel like anything could happen. He pre-moves taking f5, which was perfect. Now the c4 pawn is a target.
Is that king? Oh!
He won on time! Oh my gosh!
No way!
And you could see by Wei Yi's reaction that he didn't... That had nothing to do with connection. He just forgot that he was about to lose on time.
Oh my, no way. I mean, honestly, Prague deserved more than half a point for that game, but I didn't expect it to end like that.
No, let's back up real quick and show you those last few moments there, because in this position here, Wei Yi had fought back from being lost, and with 2.1 seconds, this wasn't even as low as he had been, but he just let himself lose on time trying to think about how to defend the c4 pawn. I mean, okay, several mistakes were made in that game, but I'm with you, Robert, that it feels like the poetic justice suggests that Prague deserved to win. He did outplay Wei Yi as black for the majority of that affair. And we have a match, ladies and gentlemen. Two games in a row for the young man from India.
We absolutely do have a match. And, you know that even though Prague went down 3-0, he wasn't going to go down without a fight. But now it's 3-2. And you can't get in over your head right now if you are Prague, because you have the momentum. But that sometimes leads you to think that you need to play for a win because, okay, I have Wei Yi on his back foot. He's going to be in some trouble. Okay, take on e7 here.
Okay, you can take on e7 next as well, and even trade on d2 with the knight if you want. But no, you're right. I think you have to be don't get too crazy, right? Don't let it go to your head. Last game of the year, Dan.
Don't hold anything back, but maybe you should hold a little bit back.
Yeah, here you should, right? This is not a water boy situation. Okay, so
what is this? This is just good for white. Oh, okay, b3. Yeah. Play b3. I don't want to give the a2 pawn. So
yeah, play b3. You're still going to be trading h3 for the e pawn, everyone. You don't even king b1, I think, because there's no rook d8. You'd happily back rank checkmate your opponent by taking on d8.
Yeah.
So
that's one of the basic puzzle rushes.
That's one of the basic puzzle rushes there. Rook d8, you take twice. But wow, I mean, I'm still a little blown away by how that last one ended. If you're just joining us, thanks for being here. The third match of the year in the Junior Speed Chess Championship is not going to be a runaway, at least as far as we can tell right now. The 1 seed up by 1 game, that's Wei Yi, over the 16 seed. There's his face. Now he's back on camera. Rameshbabu Praggnanandhaa from India, and this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah, this actually feels so easy to play. Right, I'd play queen e3. I wouldn't even think about it. I'd play queen e3, saying if you move your rook from a8, a7, there it is. A7 is falling, and now I can go rook h1, rook g1 if I want. I can play rook to d4, rook to d5. Oh, there's rook d4 anyway.
Could have taken a7 there. I guess e4 would have hung in the end.
Yeah.
Let's show that tactic there. If queen a7, rook d8, rook d1, rook d1, queen e4 actually guards the b7 pawn, everyone. So that's why he didn't do that. Pro tip.
Actually, there was another move that instead of rook d4, it looks super strange. Rook c1, was a move that I would have considered as well. So I could play rook h1 and then my other rook to g1, for example, to keep more rooks on the board. But
that's
I also
if you
like
really want to mate, right? You're going out of your way, conceding an open file because you believe you will flip the script and eventually get an attack over here.
Yeah, and you have open files, right? You've given up your h and g pawns, which means your rooks have room to operate on that side. Okay, c takes d4. Look at the pawn now. There were double isolated f pawns and isolated h pawn. Now you have only one pawn island for white versus two for black.
Yep.
White is much better here.
And you're even threatening f4, right? The queen isn't attacking e1. You've got your queen. So I would just play f4.
Well, f4
okay.
rook takes d4.
f4 rook d4.
Yeah. So
he can't do that yet, but he plays c3 first, patiently waiting for a pawn structure to expand on.
e6 or d takes c5? Which one? e6 is so tempting, for the record.
e6, yeah, he leaned in there. You can see the palm to the head there. Got to be calculating e6 right now. The potential to blow open this black king on the back rank.
Yeah, and
but you know what? This is, I like that move. That's such a computer move, right? It's like just recognizing how valuable that material is going to be, and I don't even know if it was the best, but he's just like taking the pawn and saying like, I'm still just better, right? I don't need to try to win with tactics right now.
Yeah, and c5 in the first place felt a little. I understand the point. You're trying to break open the rook because you can't just have a rook staring down a protected pawn like that. But you need to prove you have full compensation for said pawn. And right now, can I play a move like f4? Because if you play rook to d3, I'll just go queen e2, pinning your rook to the queen on c4. So I'm not sure if black is getting everything that he thought he would. And at any moment, e6 will be tempting. But the reason why I don't like e6 so much is that even if white remains up a pawn, black has this outside flank, rook pawn as a pass on the h pawn. So e6, we can just trade everything on e6. I think black actually is the one with the more winning chances in an endgame like that.
Yeah, agreed, and that's a great point to evaluate activity, the ability to have the initiative in the endgame, not just whether you're at material. So Prague is taking his time here. Maybe despite my compliments of taking c5, e6 was the best move. Now you wouldn't do it, as Robert said, because you don't want it. You don't want to trade and get the queens off the board and ultimately leave black with a position with an extra h pawn. Okay, so he plays f4. The question is this, Robert: if black goes out of his way to try to regain c5, are we just ignoring it and playing f5 and e6?
We might, absolutely. And then how are you going to regain c5, I guess, to the question? Because if you go rook d5, then I'm definitely going e6, right? Because you cut off
h5, but I have to like f5.
F5? Yeah.
Here we go. And you know what I might even do is f6 and mate you on the dark squares.
But can I go queen g4 now? How are you going to protect f5?
But even f6, you can't take it because rook g1.
No, but I'm going rook d1 check.
I missed it. Rook d1 check, very nice. A double attack right now on the d1 square and the f5 pawn.
Yeah, and actually after f6, rook d1 check, you still can't take me because if I trade queens, the h pawn promotes.
But I have king c2.
And after king c2, I think I'll have...
You take and then play queen f5 check. And
I was going to go queen a4 check first, actually.
Okay, queen a4 check.
And then after b3, rook takes e1, and take out a2 with check, and everything's sort of falling apart.
Okay, so actually that looks really scary, and Prague is leaning in and going to try to calculate his way out of this one, but never listen to Danny when he says push your f-pawn, apparently. Apparently that was a move we all wish we could have back right now if you're playing the white position.
And you know what else people want back is I think Wei Yi wants his rating points back because Prague's blitz rating is so low. It's leadingly low here on Chess.com that Wei Yi's losing a ton of points every time he doesn't win.
Uh-oh. He played f6.
Okay, rook d1 check is probably lights out, is my guess. So rook d1, king c2, queen a4 check.
Yeah.
b3 only move because otherwise...
Rook d1, king c2, queen a4 check, b3. You take e1 with tempo, and then queen takes a2.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what happens here. He played rook d1 and king c2 is on the board.
He might play rook takes e1 immediately and then just play h4 and try to queen that pawn. That also looks pretty good.
Yeah. Wei Yi is moving a mile a minute there in his head, anyway. Not a lot of physical action.
Yeah, he actually has been pretty much in the same.
Yeah, pretty stoic all day. Prague is kind of moving around in his chair a lot.
Okay, here comes h4.
He's just ignoring this idea of going for the queen side and maybe calculated deeper than either of us did because he realizes the h-pawn can't be stopped.
And the king on c2 is in a really bad spot because queen g2 will be a check, so that I can go h3, queen g2. So maybe it's king
this is tough.
b3. That looks really weird, but putting the king on b3 is just to prevent a check on g2 and hope that I can get some kind of drawing chance. But this looks pretty bad.
Yeah, it looks too slow. I don't know what you do here. Things like queen h1 going for the b pawn are too slow, everyone. Queen h1, h3, you take b7, we trade on g2, and black gets a queen on g1 way too fast. I think he's busted.
Yeah, this looks very bad. e6. So if you take with the queen on e6, I take on h4. So don't take with the queen. If I take with the pawn on e6, black's king looks more exposed, but I mean, looks can be deceiving. It's not really anything for white. There's not going to be a perpetual check.
Yeah, where's the beef, right?
So take on g7 probably.
Probably have to, but again, h3. Just laugh in the face of danger, Simba. There you go.
Oh, you can't even play queen e5 because you queen f5 check. The pawn e6 helps that check.
Oh, he blunders it. The queens are coming off, and black's. You're a real wizard, Harry, on the h file. It's over. Prague resigns. Well, that's a disappointing one, right? If you're the underdog here, because you had 1-2 in a row, and that was not a game that should have ended that way, right? If you're just tuning into this one, let's back up on the analysis board and show you that, earlier, if we go as far back as the middle game and the way this one transitioned, Robin and I were calculating this position as one that, I mean, really only white could probably win with just a better center, better pawn structure. Felt good, and maybe he missed his chance for e6 here, or maybe he even missed his chance on what Robert talked about to keep the rooks on the board and then try to go for an attack. So either way, that was not the he hasn't really done much better than that out of the first stage of the game in this match, everyone. So the fact that he wasn't able to score even a half point there, that's a rebound victory there for the top seed.
Yep. And speaking of top seeds, I see Hikaru Nakamura in the chat saying, did Wei Yi get sauced for 60 points on those 2 losses? So he's also noting that.
Well, I think when they played the Rapid in India last November, right, there were similar situations where some of these young stars were so underrated in terms of FIDE, Rapid, and Blitz that it was unfair to guys like Hikaru Nakamura who were there. They were, right here, this is definitely a rating point battle that, regardless of the score, is probably going to be won by Prague today. Yeah,
and I also think that if you look up Prague's FIDE, Rapid rating, you'll be very surprised by the numbers you see. It doesn't start with a 2. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And here with the white pieces, we see that Wei Yi has an isolated pawn. He decided to accept it.
That was one of the best twist endings ever. It doesn't start with a 2. Because it either starts with a 1 or a 3, and neither one of those is appropriate, right? That's great stuff. Shout out to all 7,800 of you with us. If you're watching this at Chess.com right now, meaning you were visiting for some news, or you were tuning into your homepage and you're now watching us there, go ahead and click the player, join us at Twitch, and give us a follow, the purple button right above the player, so that you can be alerted the next time we go live. So thank you to all of you that are with us, and welcome to the Junior Speed Chess Championship. Still plenty of more action ahead today.
Absolutely. We're only 6 games in, and we have, 20 minutes left in the
5-minute portion?
Yeah, the 5-minute portion. And, well, Dan, I have a question for you. As we start gearing towards the end of this portion, we still have a couple games left. How do you see the players' chances as the time control gets shorter?
I've honestly liked how Prague has handled himself. I know that he's he's down 2 games in the scorebook. I'm trying to remember how many of them were time scrambles, but I have not seen a clear edge either way. Maybe you've drawn and discerned something different at this point, but to me, I think that Prague has shown that he's going to be able to stay on the board in the faster portions in the time scrambles.
Yeah, I think he, as long as his connection holds up, he'll be in decent shape there. But I also will say that Wei Yi has found some very important critical moves. Like in that last game, the c5 break may objectively been totally good for white, but I think that actually unnerved Prague because the position looks so beautiful. He had this wonderful pawn island from a2 to to the f pawn, and then he plays from c5, and then he put h5, which I think is an underrated, really strong move. And then when f5 came, he found queen g4, and all the rest was history. But I think Wei Yi has been playing excellent chess. Prague with the black pieces has been very impressive. Like right now, he's totally fine. We're 60 moves in the game. In fact,
I don't think he's really been worse as black in a single game. One of the games he should have won and like get away from him was that kind of bogus attack White went for that Wei Yi has not tried to repeat. Although Wei Yi, we should note, is actually on pace to win the 5+1 portion with the score that was predicted, I believe. And, so that's interesting in regards to how accurate we can get as the simulations we try to run through. And right now it looks like Wei Yi is on pace to win the 5-1 portion, kind of like we thought he would. But we'll see if we can get some surprises.
Yeah, and look at this position. He's playing against an isolated pawn, so you're going knight to c4. I probably would have started with rook to c8. And the reason why is this is a very thematic move, pawn to d5 for white. Because after I play pawn, there it is. E takes d5, knight takes d5, queen takes d5, I take on c4, which is totally equal. Yep. So, but that's a success for Prague, right? If we just trade everything off the board and make a draw, I drew a very strong play with the black pieces. That said, I actually preferred black's position, especially in blitz, facing an isolated queen pawn. Because that pawn was
let's talk about that here, because in this situation, as Robert's saying, this weakness on d4 is, as long as the structure would remain this way, probably a position that only black can win. That's a 2-result position for the underdog, right? So the moment you allow white to simplify that pawn off the board with a tactic, which is very common in these structures, you can't ever turn your back on ideas like a d5 pawn push. Now you're going to be in a position where, probably should be a draw, but the truth is, with a minute and a half up on the clock, probably white is the only one who has a tiny edge, a tiny pull, getting quicker access to the open files.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things you were giving great instruction from Lessons Learned by Alex Yermolinsky. My coach, Miron Scher, always told me there are certain positions where you calculate pawn pushes. One is if your pawn can go to the 6th rank, then you always consider it. Even if it's not the right moment, you should keep it in the back of your mind. Another is when you have an isolated queen pawn. You should always consider, can my opponent or can I push that IQP and either trade it off or gain activity around it? So that's why D5 comes so quickly to me. It's one of the things I always keep in the back of my mind. Right. And here, so he's giving up B2 to play bishop to D4, I guess, and try to hit G7. But what if I just... All right, I would have taken on B2.
There may have even been rook B1. There may have been a number of things. So Prague says, I'm not going to bite. I'm not going to go for this poison pawn.
I don't think it was poisoned, though. Maybe I'm wrong.
Maybe you're right. Maybe he should have, right? Prague kind of trusted his opponent, I guess, decided not to take it.
Yeah, I definitely would have captured on B2. I think that was a
let's look at it. If queen takes B2, so I was thinking rook B1 is an idea. You were thinking maybe Wei Yi had ideas of a full sack and go for an attack?
Well, after rook B1, you can... Bishop D4, I guess, is an option. But I was thinking rook B1, I would have either played B5 or rook A. Because you're back on
B5, I have queen F7, but then, you're right. Black would be better with a 2 versus 1 in that endgame.
Yeah, and rook A to D8 instead of B5 is also an option, making use of white's poor back rank.
Yeah, also a good point. Okay, interesting. So perhaps Prague let Wei Yi get away with one there.
Yeah, now I just like white's position. Slightly better, no risk whatsoever. And why do I say that white is slightly better? I look at the quality of the pieces. The queen on c4 takes away the c8 square and as rook d7 emphasizes, hits this pawn f7. And the most important thing in chess, of course, is king safety. White's king is very safe. At some point, I'll create luft for my king so I can get out. And I can start with queen c2 here.
I was going to say queen d5 threatens rook to f7.
Oh, look at you. You're getting frisky.
I was highlighting it on the board. I'm not sure it's even the best tactic. Queen d5 might be met by rook d8, and then it kind of is just a fancy trade. He goes for it.
Yeah, he likes what you were suggesting.
I think Prague should just play... he finds this as well. So perhaps queen d5 was really nothing but an exchange on the board because, white has to be really careful. You can't be all in on trying to hold the 7th rank. Moves like rook c to c7 fail to queen e1. And, again, Bob's your uncle. So I think Prague has defended this position. Maybe he should have gone with queen e2 if he's Wei Yi, like you suggested.
Yeah, now it actually seems much more pleasant for Prague. I was just anticipating a situation where black was very stuck and white could create luft or go aggressive with g4. I see Hikaru actually in the chat talking about it. To g4.
Yeah, I was just noticing Hikaru's comment too. Play g4 now, and you say you're forgetting about the fact that I don't want to get back range. Now I can play rook to c7 if I play g4. That'd be a really instructive, and he goes for it. Wow, look at that. Hikaru calling the shot, and this reminds me of a game, a win by Botvinnik in a game where, again, showing the centralized pieces that just dominate compared to every one of the black counterparts allow you a position where you can play a move that normally not a move you can just, do, open up your own king and play g5, but when you dominate all the access points on the board, you can get away with these kinds of things.
Can I just say how much I love it when you reference the champions of the past? You just threw out a Botvinnik reference as if it's just casual conversation on a Saturday brunch.
You know what? That's what you bring out of me here.
He takes
Queen
it.
takes a2. Wei Yi brings out the pawn grabber in Praggnanandhaa.
Oh, but g5 is there queen e2 with queen g4 check hitting d7? Okay, he doesn't.
Rook takes d7.
Wait,
bishop b2.
No queen d2 here. Isn't that bishop trapped?
Queen d2, queen b3, rook b1, and white wins a piece.
Yeah.
And if queen d2, queen a3,
then
you can't play bishop c5 because I take c1.
I'll go rook c2 first.
Aha. So queen d2, queen a3, rook c2 with tempo after the bishop moves. There's a skewer, a double attack here on c5.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh. They're both did. Whoa.
Oh.
He doesn't go with queen d2.
And now black should be fine. Black should be totally fine here. The bishop covers that long diagonal. Well, not the longest diagonal, but the one that where the rook is on f8. And now you can just. This is probably.
Look how fast Prague is playing.
Yeah, he's just up a pawn now. So what do you do here? Queen b2.
Ah, interesting. FIDE master Chessically Inclined pointing out that there were moves. There was the move queen a1 check after rook c2. Robert, the intermezzo, which would save black in that line. Queen d2, queen a3, rook c2.
I'm not sure I totally believe it, but I will table it and think about it.
Yeah. Anyway, well, either way, right now Prague holding his own. The most impressive thing is, regardless of the tactics, they're calculating it with no time on the clock, and Prague is finding his best moves with the least amount of time, apparently, right now.
Yep. Played. What's he going to do now, though? Queen
I don't know. He's got a few seconds.
He played it. I don't know what it does, but it's a move that came to my bullet mind. I was just like,
right.
Queen f3 looks menacing, even though it doesn't.
Right. It's a bullet move. Now you got to come up with something. Queen f5.
Okay, I like this. A5.
He's threatening rook c8, maybe.
So queen.
Does he have?
Is he go queen b1 and take b3? He's doing it.
He's just going all in on the pawns. This is going to be crazy.
But
he might get mated with no time on the clock, though.
But h6 bishop b2 you have. So you're
h6 bishop b2 is huge, guarding g7 via the back door. Wei Yi, only 12 seconds. He's got to come over this window.
Wow, he can't.
Prague just played that move with 0.7. He's got to trade on e6.
Wait, how could he have?
He had rook f7 and bishop f8. He didn't see that.
He's gonna do it now.
He still has it. There was no reason to give up the e-pawn, though.
He's going rook f8. Oh, I would have won rook f8, not this, because now g6 is coming. You might just be stuck. f4. I think
f4.
G6.
G6, and it's a cramp.
Wait, what's going on now?
I have a cramp. I'm getting so excited here.
Wait, rook takes f4. Oh, I would have taken on f4.
He could have taken on f4. That probably draws.
This doesn't look good.
This doesn't look good. No, you can't ever leave the f-file, everyone, because bishop d6, and it's going to be mate.
There are...
I have no idea what's going to happen here. Rook can come to e3.
This
has to be good for white now.
This looks like it's winning for white. You're losing b3.
And Prague missed his chances. Freaks out. Oh, wow. Man.
Wow.
We feel you, dog.
That was a hectic game.
Let's back up a little bit and see what some of the critical moments were there that we weren't able to do when it was happening. I think one of the first points was that in this position, after the queens came off the board, Prague did not have to give up the e-pawn, which turned out to be huge. He could have played the move rook f7 and if check, bishop f8 right away, which, just to note, things like rook a8 now, you could have gone with the move rook f5, and there is no f4 to guard g5. So that's just one note. He gives up one pawn and then gets the same idea, but now white is defending everything. I think from a practical point of view, given that black was living off the increment and already really under the gun, he might have already been close to loss. But as Robert said, rook takes f4, probably enough to draw. You play b4, give up the a pawn, and the bishop is really well placed. But that still would have been really hard to hold, to be honest, because the king is in the wrong color corner with things like king f5, king g6, and rook a8 coming, Robert. So anyway,
I would have put my king on h7 and then just hope that I can just sit there forever.
Right. Okay, so this would have been another big game there for Prague. Instead, it looks like Wei Yi has rebounded after losing 2 in a row. As Robert would say, he did not castles long. There was no O-O-O. Wei Yi bounces back, wins the next 2, and currently owns a 3-game lead, just as he did about a half an hour ago.
What do you think of this opening, Danny? I saw a close Sicilian, and I had to ask.
Well, shouldn't we ask you what you think? I mean,
that's pretty good for white, considering it's a close Sicilian.
Yeah, well, plus this is not a very traditional close Sicilian. This is not a Grand Prix attack. This is a very...
that move is bad. That move, knight takes e4. Yeah, bishop c4 was not good.
And Wei Yi finds it right away. Amazing to see grandmasters so strong, still making mistakes like that. Shout out to Nihal Sarin, the countryman of Praggnanandhaa, just popped up in the Twitch chat. Nihal, what's up, buddy? We know that you'll be coming up very soon. In fact, I believe our next Junior Speed Chess Championship match, brought to you by Chess Kit, is Sam Sevion versus Nihal Sarin on June 3rd. So that's a fun fact, actually. And so mark your calendars.
That's a phenomenal matchup.
Yeah, that's going to be a great one. And good luck to Nihal as well as Sam coming up there. And shout out to all 8,000 of you with us right now. If you happen to be watching this on Chess.com, click through to Twitch, give it a follow. Not to say you can't chat at Chess.com TV. Give a big nod to our moderator there, Chess Wind, holding it down. We see title players, NM1G4, Chessically Inclined, hanging out in the Chess.com TV chat as well. So Evergreen Warrior Diamond member has been obsessed with the idea that Praggnanandhaa is playing from Vishy Anand's house. I don't know if he has intel we don't. I don't think that's true, but you know, we all tell ourselves stories, so maybe it is. I don't know.
How did that rumor get started?
I don't know. It's just Evergreen Warrior's been saying it since the beginning of the show. So
people just, starting a rumor mill.
Yep. And, of course, our mods over at the Twitch chat as well. I see Wind is helping there as well. We saw Chess Bay earlier. Hikaru's been with us. Been a fun day all around. Thank you for being here. All right. 3-game lead, but a pretty good bishop on D5,
I was going to say,
Robert.
You just said thank you for being here. That bishop feels the same way about this chess play.
Thanks for inviting me, the bishop says.
Yeah, and now the e5 pawn feels like a clear target. Queen e2 already threatens to win the pawn. And if I am Prague, I just sit on the position. Black can't get any activity. And here, knight d2, reroute that pony to e4. This looks so good. I love this position.
You look so good on this mug.
I didn't even see what you were doing over there. The Armenia Eagle mug.
Yep.
That's
People would love to have that mug, but guess what? It's one of a kind, and it only exists in this office right here.
Yep, that's true, actually. I did give you my only version of that mug.
That's right. Players who go up by 3 games usually go on to win SCC matches. I'm just going to say that. Of course, you can read the stat below there. Shout out to the Chess.com team who's bringing us info and intel like that all day. Shout out to the gifted sub there to Nihal Sarin. We appreciate that and all the love and support we've been getting from all of you.
We love everybody. Nearly 8K of you. So thank you all for being here. And right now we've got, I love White's position.
Yeah, I like the knight coming to e4. You can also play c5 and try to bring the knight into c4 and d6. Maybe that's even stronger.
Yep. You can also, it's funny, if Black plays bishop c6, I wouldn't recommend it right away, but you can even play with like b5, allowing Black to capture on d5, and you take with the c pawn to give your knight that beautiful c4 square.
Oh, that's an interesting idea, showing that on the board here. This would be an interesting way to transition a good knight versus a kind of dubious bishop and domination of the light square. So that doesn't happen, partly because Wei Yi played bishop f5. But look at Prague just responding with g4. It says, get out of my house.
There goes the knight to e4. But now bishop g5 goes into f4. It's why you don't push this g-pawn too quickly, because you do not want to allow that bishop to sit on f4. That said, maybe I can just ignore it and play moves like rook to e2, rook to...
yeah, it's really irritating to let that bishop come into f4.
What if I take on e6 by knight c3 to d5? That looks pretty reasonable.
There's bishop d2, though. Little fork.
But I hit your knight d5 hits your queen.
Yeah, okay, so takes, knight c3, bishop d2, knight d5. Okay, that's an interesting way to go about it.
That d5 square is a beautiful outpost, and I can just rotate.
And it's actually a perfect square for the knight to guard f4 as well. I like that idea, Robert. We'll see if Prague finds it.
It looks, to me, I'm not really seeing much better, but maybe
King g2.
Okay, he's just sitting. It's actually a pretty good move.
Bishop f4 will be met maybe with similar intentions to take e6 and knight c3, or?
Yeah, actually, it's even more powerful now because my knight on d5 hits your bishop on f4.
Yeah.
That was clever.
I was wondering if there's some ideas of d4 at some point to undermine the bishop. Of course, not right away because the queen also protects it, but maybe the bishop on f4 is not as solid as it first looks due to these tactics with the knight coming to c3 and d5.
Yep. Yeah, no, I like this plan, bishop e6 and knight c3. Looks good.
I mean, he goes for it. Looks like he does.
Nice.
Wow, we just had a big gifted sub there from But There's 7 Spiders. I love that. I actually got bit by a spider last night, which is just weird coincidence. But thank you for the gift bomb there. Appreciate it.
Did you go to the hospital? You all right?
It's just like a little bite on the ankle. You know when you start itching your ankle, you wake up, you're like, what's going on, right? And then you realize, oh, I got a little spider bite.
Yeah. Those sound bad. I get spider bites all the time in New York City. It's very common.
Yeah, it's a rough place.
More likely to get Spider-Man than a little spider, but whatever. Along Came a Spider was good.
Does the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man protect you against spider bites, or is that like against his code, right? He can't fight his own kind.
That's a great question.
These are the thoughts.
I do love this knight on d5. I mean, that's probably the best piece we've seen all day.
Very likely this is the last game before the 3-1 portion begins, unless we see a blunder in the next few seconds. So if you're with us right now, don't go anywhere. If you're watching this at Chess.com, give us a follow on Twitch.
Sorry, that oh no was not for people going anywhere. That was for the move g5. Because when I see a position like this knight on d5, as I was mentioning, is the best piece all day. And I look at the light squares. The bishop on f4 is not doing anything at all.
Yeah.
So can I just work around it with ideas like h3, queen e4?
That's a really instructive point, Robert. Just to highlight, like if we just took the queens off the board right now, everyone, if you were able to do that, this bishop would become what we call an empty bad bishop. Sometimes bad bishops you think are blocked by pawn structures. Other bad bishops are empty, meaning like the bishop has no good targets, and white can play things like h5, pawn on b5. If the queens were off the board, the king would just get surgical up in the light squares, and white goes on to a very easy win. So in fact, that's kind of why Wei Yi takes. He just wants the position to blow up and get messy because he has a much better chance there than trying to play with a good knight versus a bad bishop on the dark squares.
Can I just say that the move h4, maybe I'm getting old, but it's a move that I really was not thinking about. And I also think it's sort of an impatient move. And I don't say immature in like an insulting way, but Prague is an amazing player, but h4 felt impatient to me.
Yeah, unnecessary to give the dynamic tactics that are going to happen now after taking.
And now rook g6, for example, right? Like your king is actually in harm's way. Rook g6, you go rook takes h4, go f5. Am I not just like attacking you really quickly? And now b5, play on both sides of the board.
I love your move b5, preventing white from dominating the light squares for sure.
Yeah, this is the bishop on g5 is actually perfectly placed, protecting the pawn h4 that's now an extra pawn. You can try to go d4 and then f4 as black, but d4 might run into some b5 stuff anyway, and actually it might be stronger.
Yeah, you really got to be careful about undermining your own knight here. Plays b5 to kind of prevent these ideas. But here comes e4 as an option.
I like it. e4 looks good. Oh, but e4, d4 I can't take back.
Yeah, you can't take it right away, but even if you can't, it's still becoming quite the mess. And
I agree with you. That looks really good, Danny. e4, d4, queen c8. Protect queen and attacking c4. So he does
c4, e4. The position is becoming totally wild, which is okay. He plays queen c8, which threatens this idea of e4.
So I would play queen e4 first.
Yeah, now white can play queen e4 though.
Or f3. F3 looks risky, so I like queen e4. Rook g6 I'd play. I mean, there it is. Yep. Watch out for f5 threats.
f5 is going to get all up in your business.
So, and now knight e3. I don't like bishop d8 at all.
Oh, he had knight e3. He didn't see that. That would have been really strong. Agreed with you.
I would have plugged that pony on f5.
Yeah. Oh, and Wei Yi says, I'm not going to let you have it a second time. Brings the bishop back to g5 to stop it.
And here we get into bullet territory. 20 seconds for Prague, under 20.
White is probably still unbiasedly maybe in control with the good knight, but this has become much shakier than you wanted if you were looking at this position 15 moves ago.
Yeah, and I like this a-pawn now, a5. I would just start pushing it.
Yeah, this has gotten away from Prague.
Is he going to go queen d4 and trade queens? He's taking a lot of time here, which makes me think he's going to play queen d4. Okay, he plays a5 after a huge thing.
Rook b7, queen a3.
No, this is the wrong way.
You can bring the rook to b2, though.
Yeah, he might get mated. He probably will get mated. King g1. Just go king g1, king h2.
King g1, bring the king over. You still have queen f5, though.
Well, what's going on here?
He just goes for it. Now e5 hangs with check.
Oh, I didn't even see that pawn. Look at you.
Why didn't he go for it?
E4, it's stopping the queen from protecting d3, and now the queen... Wait, what's happening here?
I don't know.
This looks good for white. King h2.
King goes to h2. There's no checks. Both sides way down on time. White should get this one, but we'll see if Prague can hold his own in the scramble.
f4? Does that try?
Rook f7 is possible, though. Yeah, just take it.
Take again. And Rook mate him with
Rook comes in to b7. Is there mate or is it perpetual?
Wait, queen f1
Queen
check.
f1, he didn't see that.
Wait, but there's no... Queen f6 check.
And it's over.
Queen f6, mate him.
He's got it anyway. Queen f6,
wow.
Rook comes into 7th rank. Wow. And with that, we actually have... Whoa, we have our first time control at a close there. That was a crazy and an exciting finish there, bringing the 5-1 portion to a close. One game off of the Smarter Chess prediction, which had Wei Yi winning this portion by a score of 6-3. So Prague saying, take that, Smarter Chess predictions. I'm not down 3 games, only 2. None of you are down because you're here with us at the Junior Speed Chess Championship brought to you by Chess.com. Keep your spirits up. We're going to take our first break of the day. When we return, the 3-1 portion gets underway, and we'll be right back.
Chess Kid is fun. Chess is great for the brain, but it's also fun to play. And Chess Kid makes it easy to have fun. Whether your child is a total beginner or a prodigy, they can hop on and find a well-matched opponent from around the world at any time. Chess Kid is the safe, parent-approved way for your child to play chess online. Chess Kid is educational. To kids, it feels just like playing, but chess is a great way to learn patience, strategy, and critical thinking. Chess Kid features a comprehensive training program that guides kids to level up on their way to mastery. This curriculum is designed to work with Common Core standards and global educational guidelines. There are more than 50,000 chess puzzles and a whole library of entertaining videos that teach strategies, tactics, openings, and endgames specifically for kids. Chess Kid is easy. Whether you're a parent helping your child, a coach managing dozens of kids, or a school of hundreds, Chess Kid helps you organize your students and monitor their progress. Each child receives a weekly report card that shows how many lessons, puzzles, and games were completed. You can also organize kids into clubs and send them messages. Chess Kid is the online home of Scholastic chess for thousands of kids, parents, schools, and coaches. Signing up is free and easy, so what are you waiting for?
And we are back now with the Junior Speed Chess Championship presented by Chesskid.com. We're heading into the 3-1 portion, Robert, and the truth is this match is anyone's for the taking right now. I think that obviously a 2-game lead has you favoring the top seed, as you should, but I think if you were evaluating who's been winning the time scramble battles so far, which is maybe suggestive of the storyline you see when we have less time throughout the match, I think Prague has not only held his own, but maybe gotten the better of those moments.
Oh, he absolutely has. We've seen Wei Yi lose on time in 2 separate games, which makes me nervous about the bullet portion for the Chinese superstar. And Praggnanandhaa has gotten himself in trouble in some games. I think that Wei Yi has outplayed him in some critical moments. But as the clock keeps dwindling down, I really think that Praggnanandhaa has great chances because of his mouse speed, as he's shown in several games.
Absolutely, and I think that you can't underestimate that this is speed chess, right? And those critical moments, regardless of the X's and O's on the board, are probably going to have something to say for it. There, Wei Yi showing a smile, kind of a rare smile, very, very serious guy. We don't see that very often, so obviously kind of saying hey to whoever's in the room with him. We've seen Mom, right? Shout out to Prague's mom, who's been kind of just lurking there, supporting her son, walking around the background. Maybe we'll get an emo for Prague's mom at some point. But I think we're about to get underway here. The 3-1 portion is the second segment of the Speed Chess Championship. The Junior Speed Chess Championship going right now. I saw some questions in the chat about who won yesterday's match. Harika Donavali, fellow countryman there of Praggnanandhaa in India, won yesterday over Marie Sabag. So that's the Women's Speed Chess Championship, which is also running right now. So if somehow, some way you're just tuning into chess for the first time on Twitch, hit the follow button. If you're watching this at Chess.com, make sure you come over to Twitch and hit the follow button. Don't just sit there and chill there. Give us a follow so that you can get alerted for future shows. So, all right, I think we're ready to begin. At least I'm ready, Robert. I mean, Wei Yi seems ready.
I'm a little triggered. You were talking about X's, and I was like, oh, no, we can't have that conversation. Every time you say X's and O's, like,
but I've got X's who live in Texas.
I don't think that's true.
Wait, are we quoting El King or Garth Brooks? Who are we quoting?
I'm just making things up on the fly. Just felt right.
Good stuff.
Whatever we're going to do is going to be Garth Brooks. So.
Well, the games will probably get underway here in just a moment. And right now what we've got is another just quick shout out to everybody that's with us, regardless of where you're tuning in from. And here we go. 3-minute is underway. Time ticking. Wei Yi moves.
People keep talking about my missing beard. What do you think, Danny? Yeah. I want your honest opinion.
Oh, I think you look great either way. I mean, right now you do. You look just like this is the Robert Hess I've known my whole life. That beard, Rabbi Robert was a good friend of mine as well for that time. But I don't know if it was totally you.
Okay, that's fair. I appreciate honesty from my friends, so thank you.
Okay. All right. Well, the match continues here. Wei Yi taking a page out of Prague's book. We've seen not exactly this move order now, but we saw this opening and structure played by Praggnanandhaa at one point in this match in the 5-1 portion. Slightly different opening move order now, though. And okay, so in this structure, what we've got here, everyone, is very solid pawn chain for white. but black has a minority attack idea at some point, b5, b4. White wants to kind of control the breaks in the center as well, try to get a good grip over e5. I don't know. I think this is a solid approach for either player at this point.
Danny, wasn't Prague white in that exchange Caro-Kann game?
That's what I was saying, is he was taking a page out of Prague's book. Yeah, it was this.
You were saying it, and I was listening, and I was like, wait a second, this looks so familiar, but it definitely feels like colors are. And
no, it was the same structure, opposite colors, and now a slightly different move order.
And I would play knight e4 here, because I'm saying I don't care if I lose a pawn in the center. That gives me the light square. There it is.
Because there it is.
I'm worried about
it too.
What's my least favorite opening?
The French. That's right.
And so that bishop on b7 looked like one of those hideous French bishops behind a wall of pawns. And now it looks like a beautiful piece. So it's a great example, a great illustration of how quantity is less important than quality in certain situations. Here, down a pawn is not that big of a deal when you have this beautiful unopposed bishop on the long, open, light square diagonal.
I felt like I was being put on one of those game shows where we're like a married couple, and you're like, what is Robert's least favorite opening? And I have to guess it right.
Yeah, I could tell you were nervous. Yeah, so
I passed the test.
You did. You always pass.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see if Wei Yi can hold on to the pawn despite the compensation. But no, I mean, from a practical point of view, I also love black's potential. So how do you do it, Robert? Do you move the knight from c6 to e7 and then do a square like f5 and g6 and just kind of slow play the pressure? Do you look for something more aggressive in terms of a discovery with the bishop poking at the rook on e4? What are your thoughts?
I think I would refrain from rushing, because let's say queen d3 looks fine. And well, now there's some threats of rook h4 that you actually have to be nervous about. So I would probably play knight e7 now. That way, if rook h4, I can bring my knight to g6 or to f5. And not only do I stop the checkmate on h7, I actually attack the rook in the process. So actually, knight e7 and g6 looks quite good for black. Opening up the bishop, giving your knight the f4 square to hop into. So that was good. But what I was going to say before queen d3 was played is I don't think black needs to rush with a knight move, because I didn't see a way for white to really take advantage of the situation. I thought a move like rook to c8 would have been possible if not for queen d3, because rook h4 was indeed a very legitimate threat.
Yeah, now it would definitely be frowned upon, I think, because rook h4 met by knight g6, and you have no real follow-up. In a moment here, we're going to invite everybody once again to get involved with our daily question. If you missed it earlier, we asked what was one of the best tournaments in your mind in history for any junior, right? We talk about those tournaments usually being a sign of future champions of tomorrow. And so we asked people to get involved on social media, use the hashtag #SpeedChess, and guess who's getting involved? One of the biggest fans of tweeting about chess in the world, Anish Giri, super grandmaster. Of course, rooting for his fellow Dutchman, Jordan van Vries, winning the Dutch championship at the age of 17. Hashtag #SpeedChess.
He's trolling.
Of course he's trolling, but that's what he does better than maybe anybody. I mean, I'll just say it, right? He's pretty good at it, and I was chatting with him yesterday about whether he wanted to maybe join us at some point as a guest. So, Anish, now that we know you're watching, you've revealed yourself, maybe we'll have him on as a guest at some point when Jordan plays his match later on. But who knows? We got a lot of busy tournaments. Anish is playing in the Grand Chess Tour and quite busy. But we've also had some other responses to our daily question, and we'll show those here in just a moment. But get involved if you want to. Use the hashtag #SpeedChess and have some fun on social media.
Yep. And I see, speaking of elite grandmasters, I saw Hikaru Nakamura in the Twitch chat and was saying white is just up a pawn and black is worse. I don't know at what moment he said that, but I honestly don't fully agree that black was ever that much worse. And I of course, he's a very strong player, stronger than I am. So I know I'm picking up the gauntlet to disagree with him right now. But I think both from a practical point of view,
it's a noble cause, but it's hard to disagree with Hikaru. You're right.
It is. But right now, especially, I think black's position is quite decent. F5 is a move that I can play because knight takes e6 is met by rook to e8, pinning and winning that knight.
But let's analyze for everyone real quick and note why bishop takes g2 wouldn't work. That here something like f3 actually disconnects the communication there between the queen and the bishop. I believe that would have been the response. There's also crazy ideas like knight takes e6 in some positions where d6 falls after a check. So bishop takes g2 is not the move. f5 quickly met by queen d3.
Here comes rook f6. I love
h6.
it. I'll go rook f6 to g6 right now.
Oh, rook f6 to g6. Okay, I misheard you. Yeah, h6 would have been met by knight takes e6. So the rook comes to f6, guards e6, threatens rook g6, and yeah, I mean, I hear you, and I think from a practical point of view, you and I, maybe sometimes we do get a little excited about compensation because we've commentated on so much speed chess, but I think I also would tend to prefer black, and which makes us both in the wrong seat, I guess, in terms of how Hikaru viewed this position. But right now it's looking very, very dangerous, and so even if white was better earlier, it feels like something went wrong for Wei Yi because...
Oh, gosh, now it looks terrible.
I mean, h6, c4, it just...
I don't like the move h6. I would have stopped c4. I think he actually went a little wrong there. But
okay, let's analyze that real quick and say instead of h6,
maybe
you're saying
queen
rook
c7,
to c8.
Or queen c7, one of those moves probably.
Okay.
But now it's still good for black. He just pinned the d4 pawn. 6 seconds for white. 4, 3. Oh, take that pawn.
Okay. Yeah, well, we're in the time scramble now. Wei Yi, the one down on the clock. And, we're getting closer to these big moments that we know are going to define the match. Who's going to handle themselves better when the gloves come off? Scramble time.
Looks like Prague is going to take this one. Rook, took the pawn. So
rook takes was... Okay, maybe rook takes was better,
F4.
though.
Play F4.
F4 and keep it stuck. Oh, that's like a thorn in your shoe or a spider bite, which I'm suffering from right now.
Triple isolated pawns have never been so pretty.
Look at this, right? Pawns that more than a mother can love, finally. Isolated pawns have their say.
King F7 or wherever.
King H7.
Rook C3.
Okay, now you got to worry about taking, though. Rook C2, then he blunders it.
No, he's going to go Rook F2 check.
Rook F2 check, King G1, and then take A2?
Yep.
Okay. Still in control.
Yeah, A5, A4, A3 is not
and
very...
he wins. Ludwig just resigns because let's talk about why. Because if the rook just comes to d1 and white is completely stuck on the back rank, this a-pawn just marches up the board and literally marches up the board. You play rook b2, a2, and rook b1, and it's lights out.
Yeah, that's really nice. Also, we got to give
just
crazy. Our buddy John Urschel a shout out for raiding us right there.
John Urschel sent the raid?
Yeah.
Say what? What's up, boy?
I don't know what he's up to, but raiding us.
We love John.
But it's 5-4, Danny. So Prague is the white pieces.
Yeah.
And Wei Yi's going for the Nakamura hippopotamus right now. Right? He's gonna go knight d7, a6, h6.
Yeah, he's gonna go a6, b6, bishop e7, knight d7. The Hikaru versus Komodo lives.
Yep.
Or b6 right away. But okay, I mean, this is a match, and if you thought this was gonna be a runaway, right now the 1 seed is not flexing, totally just yet against the 16 seed.
And this choice by Wei Yi, look at his time situation right now. He's up 18 seconds. He's playing just quickly, and I think that's a good decision. And it's also an opening you tend to see higher-rated players play against low-rated players. Obviously, Praggnanandhaa is a very strong grandmaster, and he's not going to be scared of this opening. But you do tend to see this as just like a waiting opening. Right? You haven't committed to anything as black. Now you have on the king side, but white can't take advantage of it. You're pawn on g5, pawn h6. It may look vulnerable. Okay, e5, I would play. Yeah, you've invited me too many times to push my pawn in the center. E5 is what I want to see happen. There it is.
Yeah, this is a position that is, as you said, it's flexible for black and often played, as we mentioned, by Grandmaster Hikaru Nakamura. But in a position of very well prepared strong players, there's a lot of risk in these positions with the king in the center, white having total control over the pawn breakthroughs. You want to get d5 in here if you're white, but right now you got a lot of things to calculate as far as captures too.
d5 feels right.
I mean, it's a move I would play like probably too quickly, just sort of trusting the craziness of the position. I might even play d5 and on knight g3 just take e6.
Yep.
And just go all in on the fact that white has the big center and trust my activity to expose the uncastled king.
Okay, interesting move, queen e3. Clearly didn't want to commit to pushing that pawn. There are a lot of tactics there. And do you think that it's possible Prague's not trusting his tactical vision right now?
Yeah, I don't know. And he's obviously down on the clock too. So he's calculating. He's trying to calculate whether it works rather than kind of trusting the intuition of the position. I hate losing the bishop pair.
Yeah, I guess he's only down 1 game in the match. And if he was down by more games, I think he would have played d5. But because he just halved the gap from 2 games to 1, I think he's taking it safe rather than risking too much because he feels himself inching closer to tying this match up.
Right.
So just trying to get a little psychological here.
No, I think you're totally right. And obviously, you believe you can win any match, but then when you may be doing it, right, you maybe get a little nervous. Wait, takes d4?
Wait, is he going to take on f3 first? Oh, he didn't.
No, he doesn't. But now white can take with the knight, and these pawns are just horrible.
Yeah,
I mean, the G pawns aren't anything to look at either, but
I would play. I was going to play queen d3, and there he goes. But also a5 is a consideration to either say I'm going to hurt your queen's pawn structure, or if you go b5, I'll go knight e4 to c5.
Mm-hmm.
He just gives up the g pawn. Oh, because d4 is hanging at the end.
Yeah.
No. Wait, queen g6.
You have queen g6, and if queen g6, knight g6, bishop d4 with check.
Don't I just take you on d4?
And if rook takes, you have
knight f8.
And you're just better in the endgame, I guess. I mean, I'm worried about rook d2 at the end of some of those lines with the long distance thing happen on g2.
Right, but yeah, I guess
you may have been right. Maybe he should have gone for that. Queen c4 is kind of a nice simple move. You hit c7, you also hit e6. Now you have all these worries about when that knight moves. There's discoveries on the e-pawn.
Yeah,
c5 you can just take it though.
This is the second time, Danny, we've seen Wei Yi do this, right? Unleashing c5 move that may be questionable if we're talking about like a classical chess game, but in a blitz game really puts the onus on Prague to find tactics very quickly. I agree with you though. Just take on c5.
Yeah, I think you take it, and the point, everyone, is that if we analyze it, I'll show you here that if dc5, rook d1, the point is that white can take with the knight and leave the rook protecting the centralized pony. But look at that. Prague plays the move d5 instead.
I don't like them at all.
And wow. Okay. If e takes, knight takes, you can't take e5 because of knight f6 double check, winning the queen.
Yep.
And
I'll just run my king out of the way
move.
with king h7 after knight takes d5.
Takes, knight takes, king h7, just laughing in the face of the ponies.
Yeah, they're both pinned.
They're both pinned. It's ridiculous. Okay, you could play knight f3 and defend the rook on e1, unpinning.
That's true. But then I'll go queen f7 probably and pin your other knight.
Double pin, double rainbow. Where is Pete Carroll when you need him?
Pete Carroll, he's too busy getting USC championship titles. Oh, sorry.
NFC.
No, I was talking about that USC national championship in college.
Oh.
The Reggie Bush era.
Well, when you're a college who buys players, that's easy to do, right?
You're not wrong at all. Not wrong at all.
All right. King h7. Okay, this is the line we look. Okay, it's happening right exactly as we thought it would, and I don't know if that spells good things for Prague though. But he is going to be up a pawn despite the bishops being nasty in an endgame.
Yeah. So, wait. Oh, I like that move, queen c7.
Hitting g3 and the knight on b6. Here comes queen takes g3. I don't think Prague saw this coming.
No, he
Only
did.
15 seconds.
7. Oh, wait, there's f3 hanging. No, wait, rook e7, rook takes f3, rook takes b7. So rook e7 is a nice counter shot here. He finds
gosh, he finds it with less than 10 seconds.
This is super complex, and we've seen Prague get the upper hand.
We've seen Prague win these games so far, everyone. If you're just joining us, most of these crazy scrambles have gone the way of the young man from India.
Wait, 7. Okay,
rook takes b7. It's happening. Wei Yi doesn't have a knockout.
Whoa, so queen f2 check is going to be a threat? Or is
queen f2 check, king h1, and then what?
Else. Yeah, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
Ooh,
even king h2, there's no queen takes. Rook takes h3. No, queen guards h4.
Oh, he
misses
blundered.
it.
He blundered.
No, he sees rook f4, but rook takes g7.
F4. He missed queen takes f4, knight f6 check, puzzle rush mate.
Oh my gosh, that would have been nasty. I will show it as soon as the game is over. Don't go anywhere.
There was puzzle rush mate there. Wow.
There may still be some sort of puzzle rush.
He missed queen e1 there. It's a queen Oh,
he won. Who won? Oh my god, he beat him on time.
No
It wasn't
way.
even fair. And Praggnanandhaa has tied the match. Let me show you.
Oh my
Let me show you what just happened.
What?
In this position. Crazy. But it wasn't. Was it, mate? Queen takes f4. Oh, knight f6 check, and you bring the other rook into d8.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so nasty.
And even in the game continuation, Danny, after queen e7 check, rook back to f7,
yeah,
he could Went queen back to e1, which would have
Queen
stopped.
back to e1, defending everything and guarding h4 via the X-ray defense, meaning you guard it through your opponent's piece.
Oh my gosh.
OMGs are snaps, but guess what? We have a tied match, regardless of how that broke down.
We just freaked out. Can we just talk about this for a second? Because I need the moment to catch my breath. Danny, we just lost it.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow, 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 chicka, wow, wow. By the way, one of the worst soundtracks to a movie ever, Will Smith and Wild Wild West. But okay, doesn't matter. We have nearly 9,000 of you, and another gift bomb coming at us from But 7 Spiders, answering the question, will Danny become Spider-Man because he got bit by a spider last night? Find out next time. Oh my God, dude, we have a tied match. That was crazy.
So what we've been talking about, Danny, every time there's been a bullet brawl situation, it's been all Prague. Wei Yi's lost time 3 different games. Has that ever happened in Speeches Championship history? Where's Smarter Chess? Where's our stat guy?
I don't know. Well, I mean, we've had upsets before. This would be for sure. I mean, a couple of years ago in March Madness, UMBC, a perennial powerhouse for chess, upset a 1 seed. I don't know. I mean, it seems so crazy to imagine that could be the case. But right now...
Have we ever seen so many flags, though, in a speech? I don't think so. I can't remember any. 3 flags.
And the truth is, both sides have had a much more stable connection than that which they started with. If you're just joining us, nearly 9,000 of you, there were more connection issues. These guys are joining us from China and India, respectively. But they seem to have very stable connections right now. It's just been that Prague has been getting the better of the 2750 Wei Yi in the time scrambles. And just crazy, crazy stuff. And, again, there's about 9,000 of you with us. If you're watching this on Chess.com, click through, come to Twitch, and hit that purple follow button. And let's remind you while we have you of who we're dealing with here. Who are these 2 players that you're watching in front of you? Well, Praggnanandhaa is a rising star from India, and he's the 4th youngest grandmaster in history. He's the 16 seed if you're talking Speed Chess Championship. So he is the underdog as it can get here against Wei Yi, who was my pick to win the whole thing. I think I'm looking a little bit silly right now. I don't know that this sort of blitz and time scramble skill would keep up with someone like Ali Reza Firouzja, but that's another story, even if he doesn't get by this guy. And speaking of Wei Yi, he is the 1 seed, but he's got his work cut out for him right now in a deadlock match. He says he loves Puzzle Rush, but he's missing tactics in the time scramble, Robert. Might be time to go back to the Puzzle Rush drawing board. Yeah,
and he said his weakness is positional. I think it's all on the clock, at least what we've seen so far. Many situations here, 3 times he's lost on time. And right now with the white pieces, he's down 12 seconds. And I keep looking at the clock because of what we've seen. And I would take on A7. He just has done that. And Bishop takes didn't take on C4. I thought he was going to try to ruin his I thought Prague was trying to ruin Wei Yi's pawn structure with Bishop takes C4 earlier, but instead plays like this, and White is going to try to clamp down the position, put a pony on B6, which makes that rook on A7 look a little silly. Ooh, what? Oh, okay.
Rook on A7, hitting A5.
But he invited knight B6 with tempo. I was just saying how knight B6 is what White wanted to do anyway, so that was a little strange to me to invite knight B6 like that. Black's position is not fun here because you really want to open up your bishops. They need open diagonals. But a move like F5, as was just played, knight A4 is what I would play in response. Saying, look at your C5 pawn. How are you going to protect? Because after rook C8, after knight A4, I think I go queen B6. Your rook on A7 is under attack. If you move your rook, B7 falls. So it looks like White is getting the upper hand here. What?
Knight D5 is... also, I think based on the B7 pawn being crucial, Robert, let's analyze it here because I think the point is that if bishop D5, ED, rook D5, and queen B6, rook A8, queen B7, and White just thinks the endgame is good, maybe?
I agree. The endgame would be good, but instead of taking back on D5, so bishop D5 take, do I have, I was about to say queen D7 or queen D6. Queen D6 is way better.
Great move. It prevents this idea of queen coming to B6 and just punching the rook away from defending the B pawn. And actually threatens to take the D5 pawn with the queen in a lot of positions. So this is... I
like it. Also, Black can consider playing E4 at some moment just to say, I really want to open the bishop on G7. So if you go... Actually, I don't see a way to protect D5, do you? I don't see any way.
Well, you're not really going to take it right away, probably because of queen B6 and a similar idea we've been talking about. But the problem for Wei Yi is you got to find a move. And now we see that the the top seed there from China getting down on the clock. And it was interesting because we saw foreshadowings of this even when Wei Yi was up 3 games in the match, that the scrambles were going to Prague. And he has got to find himself on the clock here if you're Wei Yi, because if he keeps getting himself under time pressure, we may see that incredible upset.
Yep. And Rook D8, he put so quickly, and now he just took this pawn A5, back rank checkmate.
Yeah, you can't take B7 because Rook A1 is mate.
Oh, gosh. Wei Yi is tilting. So, okay.
Now H6 can be played.
Can I go E4 just to stop you from taking on B7 as well?
Yeah.
Right? But actually, if I go E4, you might go G3 at some moment, play bishop F4, but maybe I go bishop E4. It's getting complicated. I don't want that kind of complication. So I would probably start with a move
I'm wondering if he was looking at even something like B5. You don't want to trade everything and win the D5 pawn if Queen E8 is devastating, but maybe Prague is trying to find some way to simplify the position at some point. Taking a lot of time here, not to be... Oh, and he ends up going for B5. I was looking at that, and he decides he's not afraid of Queen E8.
I'm afraid of it, but maybe I shouldn't be. I guess it's just equal, right? Queen E8, bishop F8, bishop H6.
Yeah, I thought, though, bishop H6, queen F7... Oh, you can't take E5, obviously, because H6 falls. Yeah, so queen F7, he gets away with it.
But I just move my queen somewhere. I keep the pin alive. So take on F8.
Whether this was the right idea or not, I was looking at this and thinking that this would be the way to just take away your opponent's counterplay, and that's what Prague decided to do.
I think
he is just...
Sorry,
he has king F7 now.
Yeah, he should have taken on F8. Oh, he can do that after king F7 anyway. Oh, no, he can't. So queen B7 check. Just give a check there.
Queen B7 first, and then bishop E7.
And then
just kind of slowly...
I'm going to keep pinning you. That's all I want to do. Is just like keep the situation, the status quo. And look at Black's time, 7 seconds.
Yeah, Prague's getting down on time. So not sure this was the best practical approach, even if he did simplify it a little bit. Now he's starting E4, though. I mean...
So F3.
He has H6 and E4.
Yeah, did not like G3. I thought F3 to stop E4. You pointed it out, and it was a good move. So now C4.
You could have played C4 maybe.
No, but you have to look out for the endgame with take on E7.
Yeah, take on E7. I'm not sure who was better in the king of pawn ending.
Queen B8 check. Queen
E8. He just missed Queen E8. That was winning.
Oh no,
he's got it second time.
Oh no, that's a big blunder.
Prague blunder Queen E8. Oh my gosh. Oh, and he leans back. He knows he blundered. That's it.
Yep, that's it. He had to keep his king close to that bishop.
Oh my gosh. The queen comes to E8 with devastating effects, and we will show you exactly why that was a blunder here. He missed it not once but twice. You have to put the king on F7, but he didn't want to allow the queen to come to H8. He was worried about this, which for good reason, because probably white is at least drawing there. So black had clearly already gotten himself in trouble with this king coming out. But the second time Wei Yi had a chance, he finds Queen E8, and he wins a piece because the bishop was a pin emote on the E6 queen, everybody. Wow. Amazing stuff.
Wow. And look at Wei Yi in this game after he was very fortunate in that last game. Now he's going for an H6 G5 early push, and just, I mean, look at this. He's going real aggressive, and knight H4 as the natural response. I guess knight takes E4. Is that possible? I don't know this line at all, but I guess.
Whoa. We're going to find out if it's possible because he's going for it.
I think Prague blundered.
He plays F4. The rook is hanging on E1. He just blunders F4.
So rook. Oh no!
He's just missing the rook on E1. What is it? No, Prague.
No.
I mean, I say no like I feel like a dad right now. I'm like, no, son, no, young man.
Oh my gosh.
I'm not Prague's dad. I'm not rooting for anyone, but that's just hard to see the blunder happen.
You had just pointed it out too.
I had just pointed out you can't take with the queen because the rook. I'm not even going to back up and show it again. If you missed that tactic, that's a you problem right now. But shout out to all 9,000 of you with us. We've had a lot of gifted subs coming in. Haven't been able to call attention to all of them, but we appreciate your support. A lot of premium members hanging out in the Chess TV chat as well, and thank you all for being here. OMG's or snaps. Wei Yi has bounced back. Now, if you're just joining us, we've actually seen this happen. Wei Yi was up 3 games in the match. Prague came back with a couple victories in a row, and then Wei Yi went on a run of his own. This has definitely been a match of mini runs, right, Robert, where they're just kind of stopping each other back and forth. And now, after having tied up the match at 5, Praggnanandhaa has lost, frankly, two pretty bad games, right? Just blunders.
Yeah. And especially the game that made him go from a 5-5 tie into a 6-5 deficit, he was the one better that game. He was up a pawn. He had that pawn on d5 locked down, and he just really blundered at the last critical moment. And here, I like Wei Yi's strategy. He's up 2 games. He's playing a position where black has concrete weaknesses, and white is just going to go try to attack him. Queen c2, just going after that c5 pawn. And if black ever plays b4, you're just strategically totally busted, because then I'll put my knight from d2 to b3, where it attacks the c5 pawn. And very importantly, a black knight cannot get to d4 very easily.
Yeah, let me analyze that and show that real quick so that people understand the idea. If we'll say it right now, if black ever tries to close the structure, this is the last thing you want to do when you have these kind of weaknesses. White can slow play. You go Jamie Foxx on this, slow jam the pressure on c5. You even have a6 and rook a5 if you let me do it, but don't want to create no tension when you're the person with the worst pawn structure. You need the tension to exist for the opportunity that it might change, right? So that's why you even see a weird move like bishop a6 here. You're just doing everything you can to not settle on either taking c4, where you have doubled isolated pawns, or playing b4 and leaving these pawns horribly weak. So, but again, I like Wei Yi's position as well, Robert. I agree with you. This just looks like Prague has put himself on tilt here with a couple of bad losses, and he's going to be worse in this one for a while.
Yeah, I actually was wondering if at some point he can play b4. It seems like a strategic blunder, for lack of a better word. But at some point, black tried for f5 in some of these lines. Now it's very far-fetched idea, because it takes you to move your knight, then playing f5 opens up the g5 square for the bishop. So, okay, now knight d7 for sure.
Yep.
Oh, why not knight d? Oh, same idea. Knight c7, e6. Okay, I was like,
yeah, he wants to come here.
Was the more traditional knight d7, f8, e6. So I'm like, what is he doing? Knight e8. But
yeah. No, same idea. We come to the e6 square and hopefully land on d4.
Yep. And by hopefully, we're definitely landing on d4. You can't stop.
Wow, that was an aggressive definitely by you. I love that. Love when you get passionate.
And Hikaru says in the chat, that's why knight d2, knight b to d2 to b3 was needed instead of b3 to
prevent that idea.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because the knight would have been stuck on d7. That's actually a great point.
Yeah. Okay.
This looks bad for white.
Yeah, now all of a sudden, Wei Yi's taken, I think, because he doesn't the plan of bringing the knight to a4 is too slow based on the idea we've been talking about. Too weak, too slow. The knight will come to e6. Okay, so this is one way to... what he's trying to do, everyone, is trying to prevent knight d4, because the queen pins the pawn on c5 to the lady on a7. On e7. I'm not even sure it really stops knight d4, actually, but it's part of the idea. Rook d3, I like that move. Knight a4, am I just going to take on c4?
Yep.
I love it. Whoa. We're going to find out.
You know, what I liked even more than rook d3 is bishop f8, just so I could go knight d4 next.
Oh, you can still play bishop f8 now, and that pawn's not going anywhere.
Oh, but then e5.
Oh, no, e5's hanging. Ah.
Yeah, so this is looking less favorable than it did a moment ago. Bishop takes c4 still looks like a good move to me. How could black be worse there?
Well, he's also up on the clock, so he has some time to think about it. This is why you try to play fast on your opponent. So when the critical moment comes, you have a little bit more time to think. I think there's a couple options here, Robert. There's rook to b8, where you might trade everything on c5 and try to win the b3 pawn the old-fashioned way, but you got to worry about a7 falling in a lot of positions. And okay, so or there's the move we already talked about, bishop c4.
Ignore that bishop, queen b7.
Yeah, queen d7 or b7.
Yeah, I like b7 just to pile up pressure on that b3 pawn.
Yep.
There it is. Interesting. Why did you take on c5 with the bishop instead of the knight? Because now your knight a4 is just silly over there.
Yeah. Funmaster Mike would say pile up pressure on the pinned piece, PP on the PP. For those of you who don't watch Chess Kid videos, you should.
And for those of you who don't like having equal material, take on b3. There it is.
And there you go. For those of you who like winning position, are you going to keep the for those of you going?
Yeah, for those of you who don't want to trade rooks and improve your opponent's queen, you play queen b5.
Yeah.
Protect your bishop.
For those of you who are just joining us, welcome to the Junior Speed Chess Championship. For those of you wondering where Robert's beard went,
it went away because of the charity stream I did. Thankfully we raised nearly $1,900.
For those of you wondering when MVL is going to shave on camera, we have a new show launching at some point called Adopt a Danny, where he's going to try to adopt me and every different time control, all the different disciplines of blitz. I'm actually not kidding about that, and he will shave on camera.
Wow, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm speechless. Anyway, for those of you wondering what's going on in this position, knight f4 looks really, really good.
It does. And for those of you wondering why this show got out of hand, I don't know why, but they always happen when me and Robert are hosting together. Thanks for being here. Go to Chess.com TV or Twitch.tv/chess. Hit the follow button. Follow us so that you get alerts when we go live.
This is winning for Black.
Yeah, Black has played well, and Prague is trying to right the ship here.
Look at that bishop on e2, so strong. Rook d8, just keep hounding.
Yeah, pressure, baby.
Oh, f3 also looks really good. f3 you can't take with a knight.
Yeah, but Rook d8 is just like all my pieces working together, right?
f3. Just play it, and then play bishop h6.
f3, do it. Oh, f3 would have opened up the g5 square for the queen, too.
Oh, f3 looks so good
f3
right
and
now.
queen g5, that's just winning, right?
Yeah, and bishop h6 as well, if you need another piece to get
okay, f3, f3, f3. And then you play bishop h6 or queen g5. It's calling my name. I can feel it. And coming in the air tonight. No.
Take on c4. No! Take that knight.
He's missing his chances to put it away. This f3 move has been now knight f3. This is not a lights out position anymore.
Feels pretty good though. You're
it
up
is
a pawn and you got the bishops and
yeah, put the rook on e8, I guess, and okay. But still, I mean, there's been whenever there's chances to win, Robert, you often say you can lose games by missing opportunities, right?
Oh, 100%. I say it all the time. The longer you let your opponent stay in the game, the more losing chances you have yourself. And look at this knight d7 looks annoying.
Now knight d7's coming. There's a time scramble. This is
he
blunders. We can almost feel it coming.
Oh my gosh.
Prague just really let this one get away. This is one that's going to hurt if we are remembering a big moment in the match. Honestly, this might have been one that really got away because.
Wait, what? He blundered back. Bishop b2. Bishop b2. Oh my gosh! White
the rook's coming to d1, and who's winning?
I don't know. Wait. Okay, he's kicking the knight.
You can take and play. No, you can't take and play rook b1. Knight comes back d2.
He blundered that. He should have done rook d1 right away. So bishop a3. Okay, bishop c3.
Bishop d2 still.
Play rook d6.
But now white is finally. He's not. He's losing a piece back.
Rook d6.
Rook d6, and he's holding. No time on the clock.
What is it? Black should be better here, right? The a6 pawn feels weak.
Yeah, but the a7 pawn is also.
c5. King e5. Okay, black is better.
Black's better. The a6 pawn will be. This has been literally a topsy-turvy affair. Knight takes a7.
No,
he missed it. Oh my gosh, he missed it twice. They both missed it.
Take on a6. Use that outside pass pawn. Now note that the h pawn and the bishop don't win together. So if
but the knight is the trickier piece here.
Of course, and if you could trade the knight for all the pawns and leave the black with an h pawn, it's a draw.
Okay, king to b4 instead. No, is he going to just play tickle?
Bishop b6. Bishop b6. Ooh, he's running away. Bishop b6.
Knight d4 check. King c3. What's the answer? I don't know.
So bishop b6 and then move your king into the a5.
a5 is now coming. Why didn't he do it?
I don't know because king f.
No. Oh my gosh.
No, this doesn't work. This does not
he's
work.
all in on the idea to draw.
King e6.
f4. You got to play f4 and stop the pawns.
What? No, not g5. King g6 now. Oh, he blundered. g4, and then f takes g4, and then king
he has
h5,
the wrong color bishop.
Oh, but it's just a draw. h4.
Oh my gosh, and he can't stop h4.
No.
That game was a roller coaster of emotions. I am not equipped for this. I'm too old for this bleep.
My brain hurts.
Oh my gosh. No, seriously, that was crazy. Like I want to back up and show some things, but I honestly have no idea what to show because there were so many moments where both players missed massive opportunities, but right here, probably one of the biggest ones. King f6, definitely the easier way to win. I mean, the p-sack should not have worked, but even earlier they were winning opportunities. I don't know. All I know is that there were so many moments that just happened. I'm going to rely on the community to maybe clip it. Remember, everybody, we do have a moment of the match, so clip your favorite things that happen, and maybe your clip will be chosen for moment of the match. And
that was so ridiculous.
That was a game full of potential moments of the match, right? Both sides letting it get away from them at different points. And again, if you saw some exciting stuff, clip it for us, share it in the Twitch chat. You can share it on social media if you're into that too. But we will have a moment of the match at some point chosen later on here today.
That was unbelievable. And, I guess got to move on to the next game. If you're Praggnanandhaa, and here in this game, why is he thinking? Is he trying to Okay, sacrificing on e4 with knight h4. I thought he would just go knight e1. That was the whole point of not putting your rook on e1, was giving your knight that square. But now knight takes e4. What's his plan as a response? Is he going to go for the f3 idea that he just came up with before?
Well, on the bright side, he's not going to blunder a rook like he did the game before, right?
Yeah.
Which was also a big moment of the match. Crazy stuff. I almost said crazy sauce, which is also a thing you can put on your wings.
Delicious.
Yep. F4 played again. This time maybe a little bit more accurate. I still don't have a lot of faith in this line, but is there something about this line we just don't know on a theory level?
If I'm black, I'm playing f5 and thinking about the rest later because everything else looks terrible. It's just giving my opponent a free attack. F5 gives me a counter chance, right? I'm attacking your knight on e4. Yes, I can't castle kingside, but if I get bishop d7, castle queenside in, you're just down to pawn. So I'm really pro black play. Nope, that's not a good move.
But I like f5 now for white.
F5 is just a very good move.
Right?
In fact, I think black is toast.
You clamp the light squares. If a move like this is trade, you could take with both the queen and the pawn, everyone, and still be in good shape. But
yeah, take with the queen though, because you can't castle queenside without f7 falling.
Right.
Yikes.
Okay, big questions facing Prague now on how to handle this, but we also have a daily question. A lot of you have been getting involved on social media. Okay, he plays f5. Let's remind everybody what that question was. Not too late to give us your answer for a chance to win a diamond membership. What is the greatest tournament performance of all time by a junior? Robert, I'm still waiting for you to pick one. But now we have one coming at us from @Jeff Owens. He says, I'd vote for the Pogar sisters in the 28th Chess Olympiad. Judith was just 12 when they won the event. That's
a really good one.
That's a pretty good one. And reminds me of a great book, Judith's book series that she's been releasing, kind of a bit of an autobiography. She talked about that whole experience. And obviously Judith does amazing things for chess. But yeah, that's got to be up there. That's a great one there. Good pick. I'm curious to see if anyone comes up with any others. So, all right.
Should I give some of mine now?
What?
Should I give some of mine now?
You want yours now? Yeah, start listening. That's our daily question. Give us your answers on social media. But go ahead, Robert, as we play this one out.
So Bill Lombardi winning the World Junior with a perfect 11-0 score. That's
okay.
Good. Bobby Fischer, junior's under 21 or under 18?
Under 21.
That was under 21. Bobby Fischer winning the 1963-64 U.S. Championship with a perfect score. That might be the real winner.
The single greatest individual performance. Yeah, that's right. And that U.S. Championship was stacked. Reshevsky and the whole lot of them. So
Magnus Carlsen in, the Pearl Spring tournament in 2009? I think his performance rating was over 3,000. So hard to argue with that kind of greatness. And
I knew you would be a wealth of knowledge on this question.
Oh, Ponomarev winning the FIDE knockout when he was 19.
That's right. He was under 21 in Las Vegas. Right? What happens in Vegas doesn't stay in Vegas. Ponomarev, Ruslan Ponomarev did things that not many juniors have ever done. I mean, and technically that was a world championship title, right? The first ever one of its kind. The FIDE knockout at that time was not on par with the classical world championship title as it isn't now, but it was, I think, even more prestigious then. So.
Can we talk about something else? I don't want to change something that bad. I just looked at the board while we were talking about this.
No, I want to go back to the board too. Those were some great answers. But yeah,
worst position for Wei Yi today.
This is a horrible position. I want a puzzle rush mate like I want nothing.
Looks so bad. Wait, is he about to go bishop c8, knight b8 and reset the pieces?
Bishop c8, knight b8.
Okay,
of course. You're not even threatening to take on f5 because e8's mate, dude. I don't know why I'm talking to him, but.
Danny, I was thinking the same exact thing about how.
Like, there's no threat here. Even h3 is a move for white. Oh, no, it's not, because there's mate on g2. Don't blunder mate, Dan.
Whoa,
okay, knight e7 also works.
Wait, no, that helps an umbrella pawn.
Yeah, why did you do that? I thought he was winning material, but he doesn't even have any follow-ups. So an umbrella pawn highlighted by Robert, let's back up and analyze that to show everybody what he's talking about. You don't want to create a scenario where your own pawns block your activity. And an umbrella is used when we describe your opponent's pawn kind of blocking you from the rain hitting you. This pawn, white would love to just take it off the board, but the fact that it's there actually makes black's defense a little easier. Okay.
I like that move, I think, because you're getting rid of some of your pawns to open up more lines. And so the bishop...
Yeah, but this has become much more of a crazy scramble than it was previously.
Bishop g5. You have to keep this e7 pawn, I think. Bishop
I don't know, dude. I'm looking at the clock. I'm thinking about the fact that this one's already gotten away from him. I'm liking Wei Yi to hold this. Maybe do better.
Well, how many pawns is he up? Two pawns. I thought it was one. Wait. Okay, queen. Oh, I thought queen takes b3. b7 was hanging.
Yeah.
I'm very confused by this game, honestly.
F5 now?
Nice
Okay,
move.
but there's threats on c6. It's not... Okay, rook a5.
Oh,
is he forcing a queen trade? Oh, my gosh.
Yep.
That's huge, and black's going to go on to win this game now.
Bishop g5, you have to. Take on
I mean,
h4.
but this is... You're going to put a piece on e5? Yeah, rook comes to e5. You force the trade, and white really let this one get away. Prague has definitely had his chances over the last few games, but is just misplaying multiple moments.
Yeah, this is very upsetting for the young Indian grandmaster because he's had some really good games, and this one looked like it was about to be one of those where Wei Yi played really badly, and he was playing well, and then all of a sudden he let him slide.
Now the h4 pawn falls. This is an easily winning rook ending. Just way too many pawns. You're up 2, and the ones that are left are also pretty bad.
Yep, and just now the knight goes back, and that's safety.
Rook f8 would force the rooks off the board. He finds it.
And
that's going to be it. Prague is sitting back in his chair, shaking his head. He knows he let this one yet again get away from him. So it's been, I mean, hard to find what the biggest moment in this 3-minute portion really is as far as when it slipped away from Praggnanandhaa, but you can't say he hasn't had opportunities. So
he's had many opportunities, and now we're in the Fabiano Caruana Magnus Carlsen World Championship match again. We've seen this opening several times, the Rosalimo. And okay, I think Prague actually has shown pretty good play in this opening. In fact, the game they just drew 2 games ago, where Prague was completely winning, he shows some good understanding of the position in some critical moments. And right now, we've seen this time and time again. If I'm black, you play f6, you play knight h6, you play knight f7. That's one way of playing this. Of course, you wanted to play knight f6, knight d7, knight f8, knight e6, and just bring the knight to e6, essentially. So that way you can go to d4, but that's not feasible when the e5 pawn is hanging right away.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'm biased toward liking the structure for white. I know that Prague did figure it out the last time he had it, but positionally, I like white's chances in these ones. So how do you go for this now? Are you playing for the typical kind of b3, bring the bishop to this side of the board? Now he plays d3.
He's probably going to do his thing again with bishop e3, queen b1, b4 ideas, something like that. Here it comes. But it is a bit slow for white. And if you play a5 as white, I go b5 with a tempo now. And the c5 pawn isn't weak enough to exploit. And black can actually play knight d8 to e6 as well if you want to reroute the knight.
But the plan of queen b1 with c3 and b4, black can never really put the stop on it with a5 because b6 falls. Although now maybe he'll get rid of that knight on c4 and change that thing.
And whenever you play c3, though, that d3 pawn is immediately much more f5. Is that possible now or no? It's too soon. F5 looks kind of good at it.
Too soon.
No.
Oh, nope, not too soon. He plays f5.
That was our first argument of the day. And, Prague settled that one in my favor.
Okay, but is e5 really, really defensible? I guess the main point is you can take c4 if things open up. Takes on f5. We'll analyze it here real quick. If takes, I guess you're taking with the pawn or actually maybe the bishop. Not sure.
And then play rook d8 here. Or maybe
you take with the bishop and then bring the rook over.
This is a tough call, Dan. Do you put your rook on d8 or e8?
Well, he did take with the pawn, and then on b3 he's still going to bring the rook over, but it's hard to decide which will become the bigger weakness, the e5 pawn with everything ganging up on it, or the d3 pawn at some point, or the b3 pawn at some point. Yeah,
and already it's and this is why Prague is taking his time, it's a tough decision between rook a to d8 or rook a to e8. Now, usually you want to play rook f to e8 and then rook a to d8 and get your rooks in the center. But here your rook on f8 is on a good file because you've already pushed your pawns forward. So you want to keep your rook there to help both defend your pawns and maybe to help launch them forward at the right moment. e4, f takes e4, your rook will have an open file to work with. Oh, bishop d5 I actually like a lot. That's a good move.
Yeah, that's a great move. Threatening to take f3. Note everybody, something like knight d2 actually doesn't run into f4 because of bishop takes f4, but don't trap your bishop.
But queen f6 here.
Knight c to d2, and now queen f6 would renew the threat of f4.
And it also gives me some e4 ideas with your c3 pawn being so weak.
Yeah, he finds it. Queen f6.
This looks good for black.
Prague has just consistently done well in the transition from opening to middle game. It's where a lot of the outplaying has happened, early stages of the middle game. And but again, you can't keep saying that he's playing well because the scoreboard talks and everything else walks, right? You got to convert on some of these positions. Although now here comes f4 and bishop takes h3. Just again, Praggnanandhaa on the attack.
And actually, f4 also, not only is bishop h3, you're right about that, Danny, but rook a to d8, and how are you going to protect d3? So queen g6 is a double attack in a sense of h3 and d3, and this looks terrible for Wei Yi. This is a big game for Praggnanandhaa because he went from being tied 5-5 to now being down 3 games. If he can keep within 2 points in that striking distance, I think he actually has amazing chances in the bullet because what we see from Wei Yi hasn't been particularly great in time travel thus far. Though, to Wei Yi's credit, he did win that game where he was down a pawn with a queen e8 winning the bishop. So he has had some time scramble success, even if it feels like overall it's been all Prague when the clock starts ticking low.
Yeah, we'll see if he can win another time scramble. Wand Rigasol in the Chess TV chat says, so many viewers, 9K of them plus on Twitch for these 2 generational talents. But we got a whole lineup of generational talents. Let's remind you of who's coming up next here in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. We've got Sam Sevion versus Nihal Sarin, the countryman of Praggnanandhaa, who's been in the Twitch chat for a good part of the day. Not sure if Nihal's still there. If you are, say hi, buddy. Hikaru giving Nihal a shout out there. But Sam Sevion versus Nihal Sarin on June 3rd. That's coming up. Mark your calendar now. Those are our next 2 talents who will be throwing down here. So thank you, Wand Rigasol, and everybody at the Chess.com TV chat, as well as everyone on Twitch. Ooh, D3 falls.
Yeah, welcome that rook to the D3 square. Free pawn. Now bishop takes H3 is a renewed threat with F3 hanging. This looks...
Even sacking the exchange is almost a renewed threat. This position is getting really rough for Wei Yi.
Oh, and rook takes C3. Speaking of sacking the exchange, followed by E4 is just a winning threat.
Yeah, that'll be lights out.
Yeah, this is bad. Bad news. And Hikaru says he assumes that Wei Yi missed for knight H4, rook takes H3 is check, winning the queen.
Yeah. That must have been the key, and let's analyze that to show everybody what Hikaru is talking about. Likely when he allowed the move d3, it was quickly calculated that knight h4, because indeed knight h4 would remove the queen from protecting the rook, but as Hikaru pointed out, Wei Yi probably missed rook takes h3, which is a check, and then the queen falls on c2. So, yeah, I'm going to guess that Hikaru is right about that, because no way you just give up the d3 pawn for free. Okay, wow, wait. Taking and then playing e4. Is this going to be enough? Probably. He missed. Now Prague misses the reverse. Oh my gosh! And he shakes his head.
Yep, he missed it.
What in the world?
So bishop takes c4. Just get desperate.
You got to get desperate. The point, everybody. Let's analyze it again and show everybody what he just. E6. What he missed is exactly what you're seeing. The e6 bishop is falling at the end of the line. So maybe no reason to analyze it because it's on the board and it shows exactly why Praggnanandhaa blundered.
Super unfortunate.
Wow.
Many moments like this.
And again, he's now been clearly better. Like I would say, winning, in the long time control in 3 games in a row, Robert.
Yep.
And he just hasn't converted. So Praggnanandhaa is going to go down. He just made that move with 0.2 seconds, but regardless, he's losing on the board and on the clock. And this 4-game lead for Wei Yi, which really, really getting outside of the realm of possibilities of comebacks. Praggnanandhaa has got to stop the bleeding right now. But it's been a hard one to swallow if you're in Camp Prague because he's been better in a lot of games.
Yeah, no, that game was his for the taking, completely winning. He found rook takes d3. He found this queen g6 maneuver after f5. He played very, very well. But you're right. There's at a certain point, playing well is not a consolation prize. You're just you're down 4 games on the scoreboard, and you're eliminated if you don't win this match. So he needs to kind of gather himself and find a way to get the knockout blow. In fact, we've seen this line with h6, g5 things in several games where it's been good for him, and he's just blundered it away. So he he just needs to convert. He's having trouble converting his winning position. And, Danny, the most shocking part is he's had more time in many of those games.
Yep.
So, don't know what to say.
When it comes to young players competing in this format, we never quite know what they're capable of. I see a lot of people already speculating how good either of these guys will be in bullet. Of course, with the increment in the Speed Chess Championship format, always kind of ensures that the chess will do the talking and the time scramble will be kind of the second part of it. But still, I think as the time gets less, Prague has done good in those scrambles, but now he's really missing opportunities. So it's hard for me to predict who's going to have the edge in bullet right now. Yeah,
and I like Hikaru's point here. Basically, Wei Yi was outplaying him early and losing time scrambles. Now Prague is playing well but blundering in time scrambles. So it's a reversal.
No, it's been a reversal of roles in the 3-minute portion if you're just joining us. Been a very back-and-forth match, though. This match was tied at 5 games apiece. But since then, obviously, as you can see, Wei Yi has won 4.5 of the next 5 games, despite Prague being better in many of them. So, again, don't go anywhere. If you're watching this at Chess.com via the homepage, you happen to see that it was live and unmute it, thank you for joining us. But head over to twitch.tv/chess and give the biggest channel here on Twitch a follow for you so that you can follow these chess events when they go live and get alerts. All right.
Yeah. This position I also like for white because I feel strongly about this attack that's brewing over there on the queen side. Knight g3. See, that's a move that he spent 22 seconds on. It's a move that I'm positive Hikaru would have played in 2 seconds. And obviously Hikaru
might have gained 2 seconds.
Yeah, Hikaru's next level. But the thing is, Knight g3 feels like a pretty obvious move, and b5 might have been a good move. So there are times when you have to kind of find your shot. But in this moment right now, your position looks good for white because you always have the threat of the attack. So castle, king side, just castle. Like I know that I might have something on the queen side, but I also know that I'm up 20 seconds on the clock, and Wei Yi has shown that he gets himself in time trouble and gets in actually real trouble when he's in time trouble because he has lost on time 3 games. So it's hard to sacrifice quality of play for quantity on the clock. But in this match in particular, I think Wei Yi has shown vulnerability in the time scramble, so I would try to keep taking advantage of that.
Yeah, I was kind of in a trance there as you were talking because I was just loving every word you said. I agree totally, and I think that we highlight that a lot, that playing perfect chess is not necessarily the recipe to winning these matches. Getting your opponent under time pressure just as important as the quality of the moves you're making many, many times.
And look at that. He spent 44 seconds on castle, which is a move he definitely saw instantly and that I was pushing for a while ago. And I'm not trying to be overly critical of a very strong teenage grandmaster. Like, he's an exceptional player, and he doesn't have the experience, likely, of this format where you and I have done commentary time and time again. So we see how players start taking advantage of their opponent's weaknesses. He's just trying to find the best moves, which is all credit to him. He's playing really well, but in critical moments when you have 12 seconds left, it becomes very difficult.
Absolutely. Well, the rook comes to e8, and again, Wei Yi is speeding up. Although, actually, I'm looking at the time logs here that you can see on Chess.com. Both sides have really taken time, 30 seconds, then 22 seconds, 22 seconds, 23 seconds. Just respectively, both these guys are really, really not sure how they want to handle this critical moment. And now we're gonna see a lot of action here. Get ready for this position to get wild.
There's so many pieces on the e file.
Yeah, makes you okay. Knight takes e4.
Don't like that.
Followed
bishop
by just taking d4 seems like a straightforward way for black to win a pawn. What am I missing?
Wait, bishop takes e4 here.
Bishop takes, and you're taking with the tempo. I was calculating knight takes. Let's analyze it and show that after the knight had taken, if the knight had taken, this was the line I was thinking that black would win a pawn. But okay, we expect white will probably take with the bishop. Indeed, he does. And after takes, knight takes. This will be the position we have on the board. And where's the queen going?
I might even take on e5 instead of on e4 after bishop takes a d4, because if I go knight takes e4 back. Whoa,
and now we see a piece sacrifice. Wei Yi takes on d4.
Is g3 hanging in some variation? Is pawn d3?
Look at this. Bishop pinning the f2 pawn, a weakness of Fun Master Mike, as he admitted on the show. The queen will threaten to take g3. Prague spots it, quickly puts the king on h1.
And now
Wei
bishop
Yi going pawn grabbing for the piece. I don't like this for white.
This is bad for
Sorry,
black.
for black.
Yeah, bishop takes e7 now. Rook e7, knight f5. And
Yeah,
bishop...
simplify the position.
Oh, no. Okay, white is not doing this correctly. Now I'm
White's still in good shape.
Time.
Though, I mean,
time.
up a piece. This queen feels awkward. I thought maybe you would put a piece on f5 there and try to trade it. Ooh, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is misplaying it. Yeah, I think a piece on f5 would have been better.
Yeah, this looks bad. How much space does black have? Black has, what, 4 pawns for the piece and endless space on the board now.
Pawns are just running up the board.
Yeah, this is unfortunate for Prague. He's still in this, though. Take on f5. Oh, I was taking the knight.
Again, a piece is a piece. So if you can simplify, you're still up a minor, but these 2 pawns are looking more menacing by the second. Here comes d3.
Oof.
Queens come off the board, but these pawns are just way too strong.
Yeah, they're very advanced. I mean, this just...
Honestly, especially with no time on the clock, you hate white's position here.
d2 or c2. I mean, push one of them.
Not sure if this is a good thing for Praggnanandhaa, but he will get one more game in the 3-minute portion after this, I'm guessing, assuming that this one comes to a close here before that 3-minute runs out.
Connection?
What?
Oh my gosh, he lost connection.
Oh my gosh, that's why he's frozen on camera. Wei Yi's going to lose this one because of a bad connection.
No way.
That is a momentum changer in the match right there. Wow. We have a bad connection.
I'm speechless.
Houston, we have a problem. The one seed from China has lost connection, and he's going to have to reestablish that as quickly as he can. He loses this one. It does count in the books, and we're hoping to get him back here.
And Prague also looks kind of frozen.
Prague also looking a little frozen. We're going to try to get the players back here, so don't go anywhere right now as we work on that. Robert, let's take a second to talk about what we just saw. Okay, so from a psychological perspective, how do you handle that if you're Wei Yi? A game that you're moments away from winning, now you lose, right? I guess you're still up 3 games in the match, so that's your consolation prize. Yeah,
you're up 3 games in the match, and you realize you just outplayed Prague from a very difficult position where, honestly, it looked much worse for you. So you should feel confident about your chess. And it's one of those games you can just, like, kind of mentally get rid of. After the match, if you lose the match because of that game, then you're really upset. But during the match, like, I mean, whatever. Like, I was completely crushing my opponent.
Right.
I played better than he did. So I just got to keep playing like that. I think it's actually psychologically pretty easy to.
It's got to be the right mindset anyway. I mean, you want to. A lot of these guys are I would say they don't suffer. They actually are successful because of short-term memory loss, right?
Yeah.
They want to forget their losses very quickly, and that comes when you're a confident player with a lot of experience, right? Who knows what he's doing. You know, you don't dwell on the past because it can really only be something that distracts you from the present. And all right, so I think that's probably true. Right now, we're trying to get these players back. So if you're with us, don't go anywhere. We still got 9,000 of you. Crazy active Twitch chat with a couple of super grandmasters fresh off the Grand Prix in Moscow. We've got Hikaru Nakamura and Jan Nepomniachtchi.
Yep.
Thanks for being here. Well, okay, I mean, Prague has been much better in this match, I think, than our cap score predicted. I'll tell you that. I mean, he's been in positions that he would win, I think, if you were giving them more time. But that's part of the beast, right? You've got to be able to handle the time scrambles as well. We will officially reset the game clock to 2 minutes and 48 seconds when the game starts, just so you know. We have a whole staff team that keeps track of these exact things behind the scenes, and right now we're trying to get both players back online. So give us a few moments.
I love Hikaru saying, injury time +5 added to the bullet portion. That sounds like his paradise.
That's right.
5 more minutes of bullet, please.
This is like extra penalty time, right? We've got the bullet portion coming right up as soon as the 3-minute portion continues. But these guys are both trying to come back online. Like we said, Robert, the prediction had Wei Yi kind of increasing his lead as the time controls got faster. If anything, the opposite has been happening. But actually, no, I'm wrong. No, I guess Wei Yi has been winning the 3-minute portion, just hasn't necessarily been with the cleanest of play.
Right. Definitely. I mean, play is never clean in speed chess championships, although I have seen some very clean play from the women's speed chess championship. I saw some of those matches very lopsided and like deservedly so. Instead of just blunders everywhere as one side really dominating. But here, I mean, this match could be 9.5, 6.5 in Prague's favor. It just is unfortunate for him. He's blundered in some crucial moments, even though he got 3 victories. Actually, this is his 4th victory on time. Here comes the
Let's
ending.
remind everybody that, sorry, I want to remind everybody that we also have the Women's Speed Chess Championship going on. A bit of a break right now. We actually just had the first round come to a close with Harika Dranavali taking down Marie Sabag yesterday. And we will, of course, start the semifinals later on in June. But mark your calendars. Make sure you're tuning in for the Women's Speed Chess Championship as well. But like you said, Robert, this is currently 9.5, 6.5 Wei Yi. Probably could be the other way if a few things swing. But you know what? That's why they say scoreboard is all that matters. A win's a win, no matter how ugly it is, right?
Yep. And I guess Wei Yi's back.
Wei Yi's back. It seems like the games have started, but because I'm not 100% sure yet, it looks like they're underway. But let me mention, everybody, that tomorrow is also a very, very busy day here at Twitch TV/chess. We have the Chess Kid Games. Chess.com is our sponsor for the Junior Speed Chess Championship. If you're wondering what chess will be around tomorrow, the Chess Kid Games will be underway. We'll talk a little bit about that and preview who's in that later on in the show. So, all right, another close Sicilian, Robert, but this time we're back to the Rosalimo. The Moskva.
Oh, I like these lines for white. Play bishop c4. Don't play the knight. No, I don't like it.
Oh, this is not the good stuff for white.
Wei
Yi still doesn't have a great connection right now.
Yeah, it's 2 bars.
Yeah.
Not ideal when bullet's coming up next. So, okay, in these lines for white, you say, I'm challenging the center very early. Black has less development. As you can see, only 2 pieces developed. And, well, you need to figure out what to do about this knight on d4 situation. At any moment, white can take on d4 and encourage you to take with your c-pawn, which gains a semi-open c-file, but also causes you to have this double pawn on the d-file, which can become a big target. So this is how Wei Yi plays it. I think if you are Praggnanandhaa, you play moves like b5, bishop b7, or, I was about to say, e6, knight e7, then b5, knight c6 to keep d4 safe. But c3, yep.
Yeah,
okay.
This is the right way for white to transition once e6 is committed, because the idea is that now the d file can be a bit of a positional problem here for black. You could even take with the b pawn and try to use the diagonal as an issue, but I think d takes c3 is the more principled move. It's actually the reason why, as someone who plays these positions as black, Robert, I agree with you. I don't actually like the e6 move order there because of this move c3, and now the d file is under white's control.
Yep, and well, Prague's got to play more quickly. So just go. Play bishop b7. I know your position is not very good. I definitely prefer white here. a4 comes to mind. Queen d6 to take over a vulnerable dark square. I mean, right now, queen d6 looks quite tempting. What else can you do? Bishop e3.
Yeah, queen d6 looks good. The bishop coming into f4 as well to head into d6 looks good.
Looks very, very pleasant.
Yeah, queen d6 just feels good, feels right. And we now have one of the players back with us, Grandmaster Wei Yi. We're aware that the players are not on camera, for those of you yelling at us in chat. We are aware. But right now we are focused on the chess games continuing while the players work to fix their cameras in the break that's coming up. Right after this game, actually, we will be headed into the bullet portion. This is officially the last 3-minute game of the match. Queen d6, knight e7. I think even bishop to g5 there, Robert, inducing things like f6 is interesting.
Yep.
Okay.
A4 here just looks good because now black is invited knight d4 with a tempo on the bishop on c6 and the pawn on d5.
Yep.
So this looks really ugly. Extremely ugly. There's a4. Yeah, this is bad news for Prague because you just got a very fortunate win and now you're playing a bad game. It's a funny comment there.
What's that?
Says Prague looks amazingly still, said Carl.
Really doing a great job staying still, that kid. Somebody had a talking to him about bouncing around in the chair.
People always say, I think Gunina said this for the women's futures championship, like the hardest thing she learned was to sit on her hands. My coach used to make that because, with rock, you try to make a move too quickly. So sitting on your hands is the way to go. So let's see.
Well, Wei Yi is putting the pressure on him. Prague is down on the clock and doesn't seem to be suffering from any connection issues. I think he's just suffering from a bad position here, right? The old-fashioned way to lose a chess game, because this has just turned into a bad open Sicilian. And again, for those of you wondering where this kind of really started going wrong, it might be a little early to say, but this is a good tip that in this particular line of the close Sicilian, to be very careful assuming that this D file is going to stay closed with the move E6. Because as we saw, White opened it up, and Black was in positional trouble really from there on out. And so now finally Wei Yi goes for my idea, bishop G5, F6, and back. And the point is you play tickle just to induce this pawn to come to F6 and block the bishop, and now you can play bishop C5. Okay, with the queen trade being offered, I'm sure there's also a way to win material, maybe even taking and eventually winning the A6 pawn at the end of some of these lines.
Yep, but
it looks like he's gonna go for something like that.
B4, yeah, nice. Yeah.
Now, if you settle on Rook A8, there's B5. If you castle, the A6 pawn falls, and so this is kind of what we predicted.
Yeah, this doesn't look very fun. And Black's got no development in. The squares are still weak. The pawn A6 is weak. So Rook takes A6 here. I don't even know how Black's going to respond to that. Perhaps
this just looks fantastic. And so, well, you called it, Robert. You said, how are you going to recover from that if you're Wei Yi? Well, you just short-term memory, just forget about it. You were totally winning, which means you've been playing better throughout most of the match. And, you just lost the game because of a disconnect, but win this one and you have a 4-game lead headed into the last segment.
Yeah, this is no fun. Bishop D4, Rook G8. The F4 pawn at least seems like it's under attack, but the D7 pawn feels weak as well. So bishop E3 back seems good. Bishop E5.
Yeah, bishop E3.
If you think this E5, if we start trading some pawns and a rook, even if I'm down a pawn, I have decent chances to hold in some endgames.
I think this is simple though, because now you can play G3, slowly bring the king up, and White is still the only one who can win.
Wow. Rook A7.
Now Rook A7, and you just take D6. Or Rook takes D6 right away. Also good.
Feels bad, man.
Feels bad, man. Wei Yi doesn't even look that thrilled about his position, but, he's crushing here. He's kind of stoically like, all right, I guess I'll take another pawn. All right, I guess I'll beat you on time. Whatever. Well, I guess that's going to take us to our next break. The players have rematched, but we will abort it and let them know that this is their last chance to get some fresh air. Maybe a juice box. I don't know. Juice box. Juice box. Can I get a juice box?
I would love a juice box.
Right. I would love us to thank everybody who's with us. Say don't go anywhere, because this has been a match full of tons of back and forth. Obviously, we have a 4-game lead right now for the favorite. Not an insurmountable one, though, in Bullet. I think that combined connection issues and your skepticism of what's going to hold up there with the fact that Prague has been playing pretty good chess. He's just been letting it slip in some critical moments. So don't go anywhere. The Junior Speed Chess Championship presented by ChessKid.com heads to the Bullet portion when we return. Fischer Random Chess, a game where creativity is king and memorization impossible. 960 different back rank configurations turn the world's best chess players into mere competitors trying to outwit and outclass each other with every unprepared move. Only one will be worthy of the title of Fischer Random Chess Champion, but the best part is that champion could be you. The Fischer Random Chess Championship will be unlike any tournament ever held. With a global qualification system, for the first time ever, everybody truly has a chance to prove themselves the best player in the world at a chess variant. Are you a chess artist worthy of the 11th World Champion's admiration? We're going to find out. The tournament features open qualifiers beginning on April 28th and the title player qualifier stage beginning in June. Over $300,000, Fabiano Caruana, Hikaru Nakamura, and world champion Magnus Carlsen await you at the later stages. The Fischer Random Chess Championship title is there for the taking. Will you make a run at it? Go to frchess.com today to register and stay tuned to chess.com for all the latest news and updates regarding this historic event. It's the FIDE World Fischer Random Chess. Let's remind everybody, as we now have both players back on camera, that this Friday, that's today, we have an Arena Kings happening right after today's show, which is Fischer Random, and that you can still sign up for the Fischer Random World Chess Championship qualifiers, which are taking place every Sunday. Your opportunity to try to play and qualify for a world championship, and even if you don't make it to Oslo, you can compete in the title player portion, which starts right after the open qualifiers. Robert Hess, he'll be playing in it or doing commentary with me. You don't even know what you're going to be doing. That's what makes your life so exciting, right?
I feel like I've got this mystery ahead of me, and maybe I'll do both at the same time. Maybe you'll rope me in last minute, do commentary.
Yeah, I'll rope you into both. Well, right now we've roped in about 8,500 of you still with us, so thank you for being here. Thank you for your patience as we head into the 1-minute segment right now. We've got Grandmaster Wei Yi, Grandmaster Praggnanandhaa, a 4-game lead right now for the 1 seed in the Junior Speed Chess Championship. Robert, what does Prague got to do to find himself here? Just convert on some of these winning positions he had, or you feel any other magic recipe in the fastest time control?
He has to move quickly in the early stages of the game. That sounds obvious in a bullet portion, but I've been saying this even in the 5-minute segment. I think in the 3-minute segment, he let it go a little bit. He spent way too much time early in the game, and he's just trust himself more. You
right.
Can't get perfectionist. I know this full well, Danny. You always call me out on it, and correctly so, that I try to find the perfect move instead of finding a good move that also saves me time on the clock. So I think Prague has a legitimate chance here, especially if Wei Yi's connection continues to fail. But regardless of the connection, I think that Prague has a very good shot because he's shown when there are seconds left on the clock, he's flagged Prague has flagged Wei Yi 3 times, and then there was just a disconnection.
Well, again, if you're watching this at chess.com or your homepage, again, click on the player and come follow the twitch.tv/chess channel, that purple button, because right now the bullet is getting underway. The most exciting segment we have in these formats. Here we go. The players are set. The games have started. I have a feeling this is going to be something down the stretch here that keeps us on the edge of our seat, Robert. Like you said, this is
mouse slip. B6 was 100% a mouse slip.
Must be already, right? And there you go. Like, I don't even know why. Just like given the tempo of this match, we've seen runs happen for both players if you're just joining us. And I don't think this is going to be a runaway victory for Wei Yi, even though he has a 4-game lead right now. Call me crazy, just don't call me Shirley. Here we go.
Well, surely you're crazy, but Bishop C4, Bishop D3.
Bishop D3.
He's just getting defensive, and that's actually a strategy I don't like.
Yeah.
He trusts himself more. Bishop C4 was obviously a better move, attacking the pawn F7. Instead he went Bishop D3 and got ultra defensive here. I
mean, it's a cringeworthy move, especially for our sponsor, ChessKid.com. You tell kids, don't put your pieces in front of your pawns like that. And 100%, this just didn't seem like the most aggressive thing that White could do. He will castle, and his hope is that if Black takes everything, he's going to have Rook E1 at the end of the line.
Start with Rook E1 then.
Yeah, I think you should. Well, Rook F1, Knight takes F3. Oh, you can take with the pawn.
There you go.
Rook E1. Look at that. Oh, he misses it. Now Knight E4. You can't play F3 without Bishop C5 coming.
Yeah, that looks like a mistake. Maybe Bishop B5 check here. Yep, there it is.
Okay, and if C6, you still have all kinds of ways to take advantage of the pin.
Yeah, D4 probably, and just.
Okay, so still should be a good game for Prague, but he's not doing what you told him to do, Robert, which is trust your instincts and play fast. And I think if he had, he probably would have played Rook E1 a little bit quicker, right? Maybe trying to play too good of moves right now still.
Yeah, he definitely is. I could tell based on how much time he's using. He's trying to be a perfectionist. And I know this full well from my experience. We just talked about it.
But now F3 is going to win the piece, although Wei Yi's getting some compensation for sure. And Rook takes D4. You couldn't take it because Bishop C5 would have pinned the queen.
He probably could have taken it, actually, and then taken on C5 anyway and just said,
oh, yeah, that would have been a lot of pieces.
Yeah, but this is smarter. Don't get into any kind of dynamic imbalance here. Just Queen C4. Queen C4, Queen E5, you go G3. See, he's getting passive again.
I think this is a sign of, like you said, it's a little bit lack of confidence here.
Okay.
Okay, there's several things you can do. Knight B5, not a bad move at all.
That's good. That's a good move.
D6, A7. Trade everything. You have Bishop G. Oh no, Rook takes E4. That's how you return the favor, boys and girls.
That was really nice. And he missed Bishop G3 there. Because after F4, Rook takes F4.
Bishop G3 was winning on the spot. Again, Prague is finding tactics, but then he's kind of still not confident enough to just fully execute right now. We can smell it. Okay, but that's a victory. Can you smell what Praggnanandhaa's cooking? Praggnanandhaa, come back, nah. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Prague's winning this match.
You're going to call it?
I'm calling it right now.
You're going to say Praggnanandhaa's going to come back and win this match?
He's down 3 games. He's winning this match.
Okay, we'll see. I think that not only is he finding more tactics than Wei Yi has been in the critical moments today, everyone, if you're just joining us, but overall, despite the disadvantage on the scoreboard, Prague has seemed to just play better chess. And if he can stay out of blunders and time scrambles, I mean, this is Wei Yi has not been the dominant player that you would expect him to be in this match so far.
Yeah, and this doesn't look good for Black though. I spoke too soon. Bishop F4. Rook C7 is coming. Yikes, down.
Well, we have 26 minutes left in the match. A 3-game lead currently for the top seed. Still his match to get, despite our sort of observations that the score could be different. So. Ooh,
and by the way, I see in Guess the Move, Jeffrey Zhang is playing right there.
Jeffrey Zhang is playing Guess the Move right now, and he was 6 of 6 in the last one. If you don't know what Guess the Move is on Chess.com, you should. It's a lot of fun, and Jeffrey Zhang is a very strong grandmaster playing in the Junior Speeches Championship, who's also just having a good time trying to guess these players' moves.
Yep. And it's been hard to guess all of them, that's for sure. But right now, Prague is coming up with a very traditional setup. He's down a pawn on the queen side. So he's giving himself this pawn chain, F7 to H5. The F7 pawn is not that easy to attack. You can always play Rook D6 to F6, which is an active way of protecting the F pawn.
And he's going for that?
Yeah, it's a very smart just setup there. And also, if you trade the queens off the board, White actually might be closer to a draw than a win, because in a lot of these end games where you have a 2-on-1 on the queen side, that's your only advantage, Black can stop it and just prevent you from getting a true pass pawn.
So here, do you keep the queens on the board or just simplify? I mean, probably you can take and play Rook F5 and you're still in good chances to draw. This also works.
Wasn't the A pawn hanging? Okay, I don't know. Queen takes A5 I thought was a free pawn, but
I think you're right. I think these guys are both playing a little bit silly right now.
But they're so concentrated on like the bigger picture that you lose some of the granular detail. And in this case, the pawn A5 was just hanging. And A4 here, good move. Now, if you go B3, we trade pawns. But again, you only have one pawn, and it's a pawn that's easily blockaded. So I like. Okay, that's actually a good decision.
Okay, now this should be a clear path to drawing.
But G5, play G5. Nope.
G5, you create this chance for an outside passer with H4.
I like it. I
love it.
King G6 or H4 first? I don't think it matters, but H4 is a good move. Rook G4. Take it.
H4, GH4.
And that rook on G4 is so strong. It protects A4. It keeps H4 safe. And now King G6, King G5. King up. Bring that king up. B4, take en passant. Go King G4.
Okay. But still should be a draw, right? We see Wei Yi talking about Fischer random there. Good reminder to everybody. He likes to play it as well. All right, but this should still be a draw. Rook f4. He's threatening to play king g5 and king g4 with h3, getting the rook out of the path of the king.
Jeffrey John, by the way, goes, Jeffrey, how much money to play a game with you? He goes, 0 usually. It's funny. Yeah, this is a draw. The rook on h3 is stuck. Blocking this pawn. Now rook b8, rook c8. Keep giving the checks.
Yeah, you check, and if the king goes too far, you go right back. Normally, in sort of a frontal attack defense, the rook can swing and defend the pawn, but that's not possible here. So, should just be a pretty straightforward draw. Now, is Wei Yi using gamesmanship here? Does he know it's a draw, but is he milking time off the total clock? I think he is.
Yeah.
I think he understands that from a practical point of view. Remember, the Speed Chess Championship, you're also playing against that clock that's ticking away. And, okay, it does end in a draw, but you get a lot of time off the clock. We now have 22 minutes left and still a 3-game lead for the Chinese grandmaster.
That was good defense there. Very good defense by Praggnanandhaa. Down a pawn, just held without too much effort, honestly.
Knight g5, I love this line.
Just cackle kingside.
Just cackle kingside, do it.
See, this is a moment when he's spending, 8 seconds or something on this move? No, he only spent 8 seconds on that move.
But
Castle
again,
was just a move you got to play.
Got to play faster, right?
But isn't black just kind of in huge trouble here? 96. Is this 96? This is like a...
96, this is a well-known idea. The point is, if pawn takes, you have queen h5 check, and you win back your piece.
You take on h6 first, then you go queen h5, then you go f4, and you just mate the king.
96. Okay, here's a moment where maybe it's okay to take your time, but overall, Prague has definitely been spending too much time. And he doesn't even go for it. I think you have to play for 96.
It felt just like the right decision. And now we're getting a normal line. Somehow we transpose to a normal position.
Oh, man.
He's not trusting himself. It's been noticeable throughout the entire game.
It's definitely a bit of inexperience leading to some lack of confidence.
He's still got a good position, honestly.
Yep.
I would have played knight g3 instead of c3, but this is okay. But yeah, that's a trap for kids, this 96 maneuver. It's like...
Yeah, very good trap. That's a chesskid.com video coming your way from Funmaster Mike from today's match for sure.
So 2 bishops for black, but white has the better pawn structure with the c6 pawn feeling a little bit vulnerable. But that said, the queen side is locked down. The bishop on b4 is excellent. The e4 pawn is also feeling a little bit unsafe. Knight g3 for sure. Just put the knight in g3. Just do it. He's going to do it, and he's going to do it. There it is. He spent 6 seconds on a move he should have played in 2. So it's really showing a lack of experience. And, okay, that makes sense. He's how old again? 14, 15 years old.
Yeah.
So I'm not trying to be overly harsh about his play. But wait, bishop b6 won the exchange.
Bishop b6 just won the exchange. He's not looking for his chances to win right now. He's missing knight e6. Bishop b6 was a 1-move win of the exchange on the board.
Yep. And this looks bad for white now because
now the bishop pair has found itself.
What? The e2 knight's hanging.
The e2 knight, he's just blundering pieces at the end of the lines.
Yeah, but he'll get some pawns. So he's got some chances here.
Some drawing chances.
Take a5, but the c pawn's really...
Yeah, but the c pawn is just too much. Yeah, you can't even play rook c5 because the a4 pawn would have fallen, and now Charlie.
Wait, h7's hanging? Take on h7, trick him.
Take on h7 and threaten rook h8, but still then king g8, it doesn't matter.
You have c3 because bishop goes back to g8.
Also good.
Before c4, he lost a tempo there.
So now this is also just inexperience from a match strategy point of view. He's playing this out of frustration, but he has to realize this is not over yet. That took off another 45 seconds, honestly, in terms of total match game time.
Oh my gosh, he's 13 years old? Oh, wow, I thought he was like 15. You know how sometimes young chess players stay young forever? People always think that Ray Robson was 14 years old for at least 14 years. And
when he became a grandmaster.
Yeah, and so I just lose track of time, and I always think people are maybe a little bit older because of that. But anyway, right now with the black pieces, Prague has a position that I hate to see from the black side, because if you go bishop e7, you always have to be careful with bishop f6 and the d6 pawn just falling. Not to mention the d5 square is forever a weakness. And these kind of structures I don't really believe in bullet chess. I think just you're so worried about all of the weak squares that's hard to play quickly.
Yeah, and especially in a situation where you're already in must-win territory, this is a really tough position to generate things as black unless white gives it to you, and that's the problem. Is white is kind of in control of the different direction. We see a lot of people chatting in the game chat as well. Jeffrey Zhang asked who he thinks his toughest opponent is to win the entire Junior Speed Chess Championship, but he said, don't forget Serrana, his first-round opponent, right? He's not overlooking his first-round opponent, which is the right answer, right? Really, really focused on taking it one match at a time. So Jeffrey Zhang maybe thinking about jumping into the Fisher Random arena today. Actually, I see a lot of discussion going on. Him and Jan Nepomniachtchi on Chess.com might be playing in that after today's show. So stay tuned for that. But all right, this is getting rough. And again, this is not going to be when you look back on and feel like it was a dominant affair start to finish by the 1 seed. People who missed the match look at the scoreboard and say, well, that's what we thought would happen, right? But
Yep.
This was not without opportunities, and I'm not saying it's over yet, but it feels like Praggnanandhaa is just tilting himself a little bit. And if this one falls, which looks like he's getting crushed here. And knight takes f6. Oh, it hurts. Rook takes c8, and it's mate. Okay, not quite, but you get it. I exaggerate, but
Yeah.
it, might as well be.
Win everything, go rook a1 or something like that.
Yeah, and it's a lot of problems. You lose it a piece on f8, game over, red rover.
Mate.
And we do have mate.
Those are nights to remember.
Are we in that time period where it's almost mathematically impossible? Unfortunately, a 5-game deficit. The comeback starts now, or I'll call it. It's over.
It's looking pretty over.
Prague wins this game, or it's mathematically right now. It just seems to like an open and shut case.
Yep, because as long as the games take a while, there's no risk for Wei Yi. So Prague has to win, and has to win right now. Just got to get this one.
We see a repeat of one of the games from the 2018 World Chess Championship. Not exactly anymore, but we were on that path there. A Sveshnikov played between Fabiano Caruana and Magnus Carlsen. Kind of coming back, right? People have been shameless in their, playing Sveshnikov again.
And this is looking like it's all the rage these days, where in this particular position, white would love to hold the center, but bishop f5, knight f6 combination are just okay. Queen e8. No, queen e8 might be.
That's
I'm not
also
sure.
a pretty aggressive move, but bishop e4 helps. So this is, I think Prague is holding the light squares here. Now you want to get aggressive. Yeah, play c4, develop your bishop, go for c5.
This actually looks way better than I thought it was going to look for white here.
Yeah, I agree. Again, but time has been part of the issue now.
Yep. Time is of the essence.
Despite how he handled time scrambles earlier in the match, a lot of stats now being given to us saying that Wei Yi has played a lot more bullet games on Chess.com than Praggnanandhaa, including holding his own against guys like Daniel Naroditsky at times, and clearly to start this bullet portion, he was above 3,000, and now he's back above 3,000. So I guess experience suggested that Wei Yi would be the better player in bullet, even though we saw Prague really hold his own in some of the time scrambles earlier.
Yeah, Wei Yi's just he's a superstar. And right now, Prague is down 18 seconds, 19 seconds, 20 seconds. Keep counting. He's got to take on g4, play rook f3, try to go h3 and hold a position like that, but it doesn't look pleasant. And he's, nice.
Yeah. If this one falls, I think the house crumbles with it.
g3. Talk about unexpected moves.
Not a good sign when you have to play that move, though.
Although actually might be good because the pawn.
Yeah, it does swing the rook over to g2 and guard h2.
A move I wasn't even thinking about. That's why he spent his time there.
Yeah.
And white's just a couple moves away from playing c5 and getting.
Yeah, rook g2. Now you're threatening to take. Okay, f3, but that pawn's going to be corralled.
Yeah, queen g4 and then rook c2. There, protect that c5.
Guard c4, if e4, c5.
It's a race.
I like this for white.
Take a7.
Takes a7. Now you got to trust your instincts and just go.
Wait, you lost the e-pawn. Just straight up blunder the.
Yeah, e4 just loses the e4 pawn. Ouchtown.
Yep.
Okay, he's going to try to swing the rook for counterplay, but whoa.
Rook h4.
Wait, how do you defend that?
Yeah, rook h4.
Okay, rook h4.
Now rook
You got to move your rook now.
Yeah.
Okay, it's
G4.
still pretty tricky.
So if Rook F4.
Play for Rook C3 and go corral the pawn, but no, Prague wants counterplay instead.
Prague's just going to queen his pawn now.
Yeah, I like that.
C6, just go.
Okay, here you go. Here comes the lady. If you take G4, you just take with the king on F3. Yeah, it's over.
King G2, and your king is safe, and there goes the C pawn.
Okay, well, it's not over yet, right? The fat lady is not singing. A victory there by Praggnanandhaa. We are not out of the realm of a possibility. I think it has to. We're in must-win territory, though. I think Praggnanandhaa has to keep winning every game from here on out.
Yep.
Not a huge fan of these classical choices. Okay, well, that helps. I mean, Wei Yi not going for the crazy theory. I mean, personally, I love the theory of the rouser for white, but you know that.
Yeah, I do. You do love that. And right now, it's a solid setup for black. You want to maneuver your pieces to more useful squares. Your setup is perfect. It's pristine. Everything is protecting each other. No weaknesses to speak of. Knight E5, go bring the knight to C4. That's a very common idea. B5, of course, you can play as well. Now the knight has vacated the C3 square. He takes, and we'll play knight E5 now.
Yeah, the knight's going to come to C4.
Yep.
Actually, it's kind of irritating. You can't really deal with that easily.
Queen A5. Oh, I
Bishop F5. I like that.
G4 traps a piece, so that was terrible.
Oh, never mind. I don't like that. Okay, that could be it. Is that it?
Rook C4. Threatened rook takes
Rook C4. It's not over yet. Oh, he doesn't find it.
I guess after rook C4, just bishop E3 would have sufficed, maybe. But this is
looking.
He's got some
looking
counterplay.
tough. Whoa, B2 pawn under fire. Can play B6, F5.
Getting adventurous, stopping some bishop E4 stuff. But this looks like trouble.
Yeah, a piece is a piece, as they say.
Bishop H3 right now is just missed it. Still bishop H3.
Okay, but now black can play bishop E5 and F4. All right, he's. If you trade B for A, this isn't that easy, I guess.
I agree. So F4. Oh no, rook A2 played. So rook B4 stops F4 and protects A4. That looks like a good move. But somehow this feels like it's not going the way you wanted it to.
Yeah, no, I agree. This hasn't been the cleanest technique.
So what?
Despite the blunder by Praggnanandhaa, I mean, I think we're in mathematical territory here. Everyone with 10 minutes left. Prague can't see this match go back to 5 games and expect to come back. It's got to be another win here for black, which seems crazy to say right now. He should just lose. Down a piece.
Down a piece for 2 pawns. So yeah, his winning chances do not feel realistic here, but weirder things have happened.
Wait, rook takes F2 and then bishop E6, king E. Okay, never mind.
Wait, take on D4 and play bishop D2. Oh, you would have won that 4 pawn.
Ah.
That was not.
If he does it again, you take D4 and play bishop to D2. Okay, Wei Yi doesn't let it happen a second time.
And Wei Yi's also up 10 seconds or 12 seconds on the clock, more or less.
Yeah, it's getting harder for black to come up with moves. Okay, now you can play for bishop D2.
Yep. Of king H4, there's king G6 and bishop.
King H4, there's bishop E1 check. I mean, after king G6, so yeah. Okay, look at this. Whoa. He's flipping it around.
This looks really smart and really tough for white to meet in time trouble. Nice
H4
move.
threatening H3 and bishop G3.
The bishop G3 now.
Yeah. How do you deal with F4?
And rook A1, rook A2 now. Easy.
Rook A2, the F4 pawn's falling.
King G6, just move the king out there.
Ah, no, that was impatient. Should have played king G6, Robert, you're right. He's going to win the B7 pawn, but...
Yeah, it's not going to be enough. Rook B4, take
Whoa,
E7.
he could have taken on B7 there. There was no mate. I think if he keeps the tension there, he might even come back and win that game.
It's a draw. Rook just keep pinning.
Whoa, king F6.
Oh, he blundered.
Loses a piece.
Oh gosh, he's losing the D pawn. Rook D3.
Oh my gosh.
King E5.
Only black can win this game.
Yeah, this is a huge blunder. One.
Holy, he's gonna lose now. He's down on time.
King D4. King C3.
He could have just run the king up.
He
Rook
won.
d4, he's winning in the king of pawn endgame. Oh my gosh. Oh, Wei Yi. Just like, what did I just do? He turns around and looks. He's like, did nobody else see that? I'm all alone? Uh-oh. That was rough.
What just happened?
That is a game that Praggnanandhaa had no business winning.
Whoa. I felt myself losing some of the energy because we were talking about a comeback.
I know.
I felt like the comeback was nearing its end, and now it's still back on at full force.
He literally just won an impossible game to win. So if you're talking about comebacks, 8 minutes left with only 3 minutes remaining. The one bad thing is about 6-7 minutes went off the clock there, I think. That was a long game.
Yeah.
But he won. That's all that matters.
That was unreal. Queen b6 is a big threat. Queen b6. Oh, knight d5.
Oh.
Knight d5 was a nice tactic.
Okay, so turns it around. Well, 8,000 of you still with us. Don't go anywhere. The comeback is alive. This match is not over. If you're watching this at Chess.com on your homepage, click on the player and go over to Twitch and give us a follow. If you're watching this at Chess.com TV, you already know. I love you.
Is that how that song goes?
No, I just said it. I don't know. I like to send my kids text message all the time that say, if you're reading this text, you already know, ... And then I say something random.
Oh, man. Bishop b3. Bishop e6.
Okay, there's a threat of queen e8. Okay,
Yep.
he stops it.
Knight d2. Just go after
Knight d2, keep the tension, because if the knight's on b3, a5's a weakness. Shout out to Midnight Rhino for the bits there. Thank you to everyone who's here. We've had a lot of love during today's show. We appreciate it. Queen b1, the a4 pawn falls. Actually, that looks like a really... Okay, that's actually really good for Wei Yi.
Yeah, queen b1, you take with a knight on b1, but then knight c4. Yeah, not looking great, but you got to do this.
Takes, you got to take with the knight to hold the a-pawn, knight c4, b3. I guess black is not getting anything concrete.
Yeah, actually, I think white's going to win this game.
Really?
Yeah, c4. You have... Oh.
He had c4. Now you got to be careful about a passed a-pawn.
It's just king f1. Just bring the king in.
He's spending a lot of time, and that's... You would feel like if he had just played king f1, it would have been the better move and the move you could play faster, right?
Yep. Play c4. C4, there it is.
C4, the knight comes to b3 at some point, a5 falls.
Yep, you can play c5 instead of king.
I think he could have played c5, but maybe he wants this knight b3 idea I'm talking about. Bring the king to c3 and knight b3.
Yeah, he definitely does.
Whoa.
F3,
what could happen?
F3.
Play f3 and stop the counterplay. No, he misses it. He's going to...
Black missed knight e4 check before g4. That was a big mistake because now white's...
Oh, knight e4 check. Now f3 actually came in time. I mean,
Yeah.
f3 would have been the more accurate move, but Prague is actually in control yet again.
Wow, this looks really tough for black because what white's going to do is play bishop e2 to like attack this g4 pawn and then force you to make a decision with that side of the board. Bishop e2. Just play it quickly.
Play bishop e2, sit on the position. Black has no moves. Okay, this is where Prague might let the game slip, right? Okay, no, he finds it, but have to play a little faster.
Knight c1 to
Knight
d2.
c5 even. Are you winning the endgame if the king gets in? He finds it.
Whoa. What is happening here?
King d4 and king e5.
But you just go king f6, so I'm stuck. So g3 is a draw. G3, yeah, king f...
Yeah, but now you can take everything on g4.
Wait, but now they keep... Both are missing it. G3 here is a draw.
Okay, never mind. Knight c5 was no good. I was wrong. And that's actually...
You were right, Daniel. He should have taken on g4 there.
Yeah, but that's a huge game because Prague settling on a draw here is settling on... Okay, I mean, 4 minutes and 3 games... The fat lady's about to sing, and when she comes out, I will be using my voice. I don't even know why I said that, but there you go.
You know Hikaru would have just shuffled the bishop around forever as black there. It's just,
just won the match.
Yeah.
He would have just won the match with bishop shuffle puck.
I feel like someone like Grishuk did that at some point.
Grishuk did do that, and I think Magnus did that in a match too.
Yeah.
He was up against Hikaru in their Speed Chess Championship final in 2017, I think, but we've seen a lot of people use the gamesmanship that you see in, I always refer to the NBA when you think about it, especially because Toronto won last night. Shout out to the Raptors and my boy Drake.
Yeah. Pascal Siakam, amazing game.
Yeah. But you think of it kind of like dribbling out the clock, as they say, something that the Speed Chess Championship format has. Okay, he finds Queen A5 the second game around. I hate to say it, Robert, but I think that game decided it. I think his inability to put that one away.
Yeah.
Prague seems like a young man who's kind of settled on the fact that he had a good match. Maybe he didn't expect to win, but from our perspective, this was right there for him to grab.
Totally. He has been playing a good match. He's gotten himself in these moments where he just hesitates too much. Actually, I'm very curious to ask him about that, if he sort of felt like he had to find extremely precise moves at all times. Because I think he let certain games slip because of how much time he spent, including this game. I mean, he's down 12 seconds on the clock right now.
Right. Well, either way, those questions and more will be asked to the players, so if you're with us, don't go anywhere. After the 1-minute portion, regardless of what happens, we will interview these two young gentlemen and get their thoughts on how the match went.
So B5, nice counterattack.
Mm-hmm. Something tells me Wei Yi knows he's got it now.
Yeah.
That's not just the blue shirt talking to me.
I do like that shirt.
It is. It's got style.
Wait, what's this? The knight's protected, right? So C4. Oh, okay. He goes for capture mode. Wait, so now
time is ticking.
Knight G6, just go.
F4, no thinking.
I love it.
Pushing.
Jenny is a great move.
Just go. Even sack the exchange here and play bishop D. I don't even care. Bishop D4.
Yeah,
you have to do something.
Play bishop E5, right? Oh, he's doing
your
idea.
This is it. Take.
Oh, he didn't follow bishop D4.
Okay, I don't know if Wei Yi remembered the queen was guarding that square. I don't know what's going on, but...
How many pawns does Black have? 3 pawns?
Probably not enough, though. A lot of time is going to come off the clock here. Less than 2 minutes with a 3-game lead and probably no chances that he loses this one. Praggnanandhaa, na, Wei Yi, goodbye.
Well done.
Praggnanandhaa, na, Wei Yi, goodbye. The match is over. Praggnanandhaa, na, Wei Yi, goodbye. Let me hear you.
That was actually one of your best ones yet. He thought he had Rook G1, but Rook H2 was mate.
It's over.
Yeah, he blundered that.
And with that, they will play one more game, their swan song, to bring this match to a close. I will not sing anymore, so don't worry. Don't worry, all of you.
I love this comment. Daniel, let me give you some advice. Don't sing on stream.
Hey, I've heard that advice a lot.
I thought you did a great job there.
Robert, have I ever taken good advice?
Yes, you have.
Okay, but not all the time.
It hasn't been since like 2012.
Yep. It'll go on my gravestone. Always listen to the advice from Twitch chat. Exactly. If people don't get sarcasm there, I don't know what will.
What's the bishop on H6 doing? Wait, where'd he go? It traded. Never mind. Chess is confusing, Danny.
It is confusing. Well, time is officially running out. This is the last game. Probably worth though about $75 to $100 though, right? I mean, that's the way these matches work. Prizes are split up based on the winner and then win percentage. Looks like the final score is not going to be exactly what Smarter Chess predicted, but shout out to Matt Jensen, who inspired me for that little tune there, but also inspires us with our predictions all the time. And he was right that Wei Yi was the heavy favorite. Thanks, Captain Obvious. But I think this match really could have gone either way if Prague had a little more experience and a little more confidence.
Absolutely agree with that. I thought Prague put some really good games. He showed that he can compete when the clock gets low. But unfortunately for him, I really think it comes down to him having a lack of experience. And that's because he's so young. He's 13 years old. So we forgive him for that. I think next time around, he'll be even more of a formidable opponent because he just needs to be less of a perfectionist in these blitz games and just trust himself because he's such a fantastic player.
Yeah. Great advice coming from one of the greatest coaches I know, Grandmaster Robert Hess. When is your next coaching affair? Are you coaching the U.S. Women's Olympiad team again? Do you know yet?
You never know until right beforehand. So it's
you never do.
Because the players select the coach. So.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Depends.
No wonder you keep getting selected. Because you do a great job. No, seriously, I think you're right. It's great advice, and I think for Prague, his coaches will be telling him the same thing. But super talent, and that's why we're doing the Junior Speed Chess Championship. And remember, Robert, you and I were covering the World Championship in November when we asked the fans, what would you like to see about the SCC? And we had suggestions about doing a women's and juniors event. And so thank you to everybody who answers our questions on social media, uses the hashtag SpeedChess and gets involved, because we clearly do listen and try to do things. And I think this Junior Speed Chess Championship match is going to be a ton of fun for the next couple months.
Absolutely. And Queen F8 looks fun for White here, as Prague will take the final.
Going down in the last game, so a slight kind of moral victory there for Prague, who finishes losing the match by a score of 3 games. We're going to come back here in just a few moments with interviews with the players to wrap up the Junior Speed Chess Championship for today, brought to you by ChessKid.com. Don't go anywhere. I'm watching you. We'll be right back. And we are now joined by both of our very, very talented chess players here, Grandmaster Wei Yi and Praggnanandhaa here from India. Guys, first of all, thank you both so much. This was a great match, full of back and forth, little runs by both of you guys. Prague, when you tied the match up at 5 games apiece there, what was going through your head at that time in terms of thinking, what do you need to do to win this match?
I mean, yeah, I won this 2 games in 3+1 to win the first. Yeah, then it was we both had 5 points. So I thought, okay, just keep going, keep playing like this, and yeah, try to do the best. But the next game, I think I was better. Okay, but I lost somehow. Then yeah, 7th game was next game was very worst. I mean, I just blended this Rook on E1.
How do you recover from the emotional setback there of blundering the Rook? Do you give yourself a pep talk? What goes through your head, and what advice do you give yourself after you maybe lose a game that you know you had no business losing?
Yeah, I just thought, okay, let's concentrate on the next game and try to equal the score.
Yeah, Prague, I have a question for you. Throughout the match, it felt like you were trying to find the perfect move instead of sometimes trying to find the fast move. Do you feel like you were looking too much to play the best chess possible, which is great for classical chess, and maybe sometimes struggle with keeping your time management under control?
I think in most of the game I play faster in opening stage. Then I limit time. But okay, yeah. I think I should not have done that. Maybe I should have played more faster.
Wei Yi, congratulations on winning the match and moving on to the next round. What do you feel was the key today? The match had a lot of streaks where it seemed like you were building a lead, and because you're the 1 seed, maybe people thought you were going to run away with it, but you couldn't quite keep the rhythm going, and it seemed like Prague almost came back many times. So how are you handling those moments where you lost a couple games in a row to help yourself recover and then win the next game?
At first, it was a very difficult match, and my opponent missed a lot of chance in the 3 minutes games, and otherwise the result will be unpredictable. And I saw too much in some positions. That's why I always in some time trouble. And I lost 3 games in a row in the 5 minutes game. Yes.
Yeah. But
I think it's not over. I still need to play some good moves. Yes.
Wei Yi, you lost 3 games on time during the match. Did that make you nervous heading towards the bullet section that maybe your opponent would be able to catch up even though you were up several games in the match?
Yeah, I felt very nervous after lost 3 games. But then my opponent missed some great chances.
Prague, do you feel that way, that this match could have gone the other way, that there were several games that you just didn't convert one reason or another, making a blunder under time pressure or just taking too much time? Do you feel like in hindsight this could have gone your way?
Yeah, I think I think in the Rosalimo in 2 games, which I was just winning with black. That was an important game, but still I got some lucky points, like in the Rook end game, which he got flagged. The other one was a net connection. So yeah, we both. I think I also had a very bad internet connection.
Yeah. Well,
so, yeah.
There were not many draws in this match. There were actually only 2 draws total. What do you think? I'll ask you both that. Why do you think there weren't too many draws with your particular style of play? Or Wei Yi, why do you think there weren't so many draws in this match?
I think because the games were very exciting, and we always lost on time.
Yeah, that would make sense. It was lost on time and drawn positions. Yeah. What about you, Prague?
Yeah, I think the same reason. I mean, I think we both lost on time, maybe 5 games. So yeah, that's why maybe. And yeah, but yeah, every game was also interesting. So I don't know why there were no draws.
Well, speaking of time, I have a question for both of you. It's very late in both India and China. How was that challenging for you to play at such a late hour, or are you like typical chess players who stay up way too late anyway and are playing chess past midnight?
No, it's 3 o'clock, about 4 o'clock in China, and but it is always very nice to play chess. Yes.
So it's not too late or early for you to play good chess, apparently, Wei Yi.
Yeah, but still very challenging.
It was very challenging, though. What about for you, Prague? How early do you usually have to go to bed? Be honest. You're only 13 years old, and you're up past your bedtime right now. So how?
Maybe, yeah, around, at home I would around go to bed at 10:30 or 11, 10:30 to 11. But yeah, I came from French League, so I have some jet lag, so there was no problem playing this match.
Got it. Okay. Well, honestly, this was a great match. It was super exciting for all of us, and I know that I'm sure you both have things to get to, like sleep. So I'm not gonna hold you up too much longer. Besides, thank you, congratulate you both, and then leave you, Wei Yi, with one final question. You're playing Jordan van Foreest in the next round. You actually know your opponent well in advance, right? Jordan obviously barely got by Arjan Tari, but what are your thoughts, Wei Yi, on what you need to do to beat Jordan van Foreest?
Jordan van Foreest?
That's who you're playing in the next round, yes.
We didn't play some classic games, and maybe I will prepare something, yes. And,
okay, so you will prepare.
Yes.
Okay, good to know. All right, well, we're going to let you both go. Prague, again, congratulations on a well-played match. No, it didn't go your way, but we definitely look forward. You had a lot of fans here watching your future eagerly, and Wei Yi, congratulations for moving on to the next round, and we will see you, I think, sometime in July for your match versus Jordan van Foreest.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Let's remind everybody, Robert, of our next matchup. It'll be Sam Sevion versus Nihal Sarin, right? So the countryman here of Praggnanandhaa taking on Sam Sevion. Should be pretty exciting on June 3rd.
Yeah, that's actually one of my favorite matchups of the entire event. I think this might be the one to keep your eye on because Sam Sevion, he's launched his rating into near 2680 territory, but Nihal Sarin is the youngest 2600 in the world, so clearly a rising talent himself.
Yep, absolutely, and we'll see what happens there. I think that one is as close to a coin flip as you can have. I agree. Let's talk about what's coming up tomorrow. The Chess Kid Games, obviously our sponsor is Chess.com, but tomorrow is a huge event. It'll be commentated by FIDE Master Mike Klein and International Master David Pruis. But here we've got some real kiddos, some real young juniors, but they're also pairing up with some stars that we've seen kind of grow up on Chess Kid, kids that we've known since they were very little who are coming back. They are now a whole bunch of title players. Look at that list there. You've got Hans Niemann, who many of you know. You've got Christopher Yu. So many very, very strong players. Roland Fang. They are going to be joining up, and they will be paired up with a very young kid, like really, really young, and they're going to be going through a number of different tasks there on ChessKid.com. So should be a blast to see what happens when these title players who've been using Chess Kid since they were itty-bitty babies do paired up with a kid. Also, let's remind you of the schedule before you go anywhere. Mark your calendar for our next Speed Chess Championship matchup. That is, as we said, June 3rd, Sam Sevion versus Nihal Sarin. We've got the reigning world junior champion coming up after that, Parham Maghsoodloo from Iran, versus the young Italian Moroni there. Also should be a great one. So mark your calendars and stay with it. Now, as we say goodbye, Robert, we're going to leave everybody with the moment of the match. I don't know what it is, neither do you. It'll be fun, and we're going to be sitting here watching it as we head to a close. So if you did clip something for us and share it on social media, we really appreciate that. For all those of you that have been here, for everyone here behind the scenes at Chess.com making this happen, thank you for being here, and enjoy the moment of the match coming to you right now. Rook takes h3. No, queen guards h4.
Oh, he
misses
blundered.
it.
He blundered.
No, he sees rook f4, but rook takes
takes
g7.
f4. He missed queen takes f4, knight f6 check, puzzle rush mate.
Oh my gosh, that would have been nasty. I will show it as soon as the game is over. Don't go anywhere.
There was puzzle rush mate there. Wow.
There may still be some sort of puzzle rush.
He missed queen e1 there. It's a queen e. Oh, he won.
Who won? Oh my God, he beat on time.
No
it wasn't
way.
even fair. And Praggnanandhaa has tied the match. Let me show you.
Oh my.
Let me show you what just happened.
What?
In this position. Crazy. But it wasn't. Was it, mate? Queen takes f4. Oh, knight f6 check, and you bring the other rook into d8.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that would have been so nasty.